morning. Good morning, Mr. Romero.
Good morning, Judge.
How are you, sir?
I'm doing very well.
Okay, good. Good morning, everyone. My name is Judge Benson. You're here for your first appearance or magistrate hearing. The purpose of your magistrate hearing is to determine whether there is probable cause to hold you on the charges, whether you have counsel, and whether or not there are reasonable means to release you. You have a lawyer today. I am appointing the office of the public defender to everyone for purposes of this hearing this morning. If you or your family have already retained counsel, just let us know when I call your name, and we'll attempt to find your counsel and put you on recall, or if they are here, we'll go ahead and hear your case. I would advise you strongly not to talk about anything during the pendency of this hearing. All of the proceedings are being recorded, and with the touch of a button, the prosecutor's office can obtain this recording and use it against you later on at any hearing or trial. That also goes for your phone calls. Don't talk on the phone about your case. The prosecutor's office can obtain that information at the touch of a button and use that against you later on. So if you have something you want to tell me, please relate it to your lawyer. Your lawyer is there with you if you're in the main jail or available by phone at any time if you're at any of the other facilities. And with that, we will start with Anthony Marquise Bellamy. Did you say North Broward, Mr. Reedy?
I can find case law.
Mr. Bellamy?
I don't think he'll be eligible for.
Good morning, ma'am. Good morning, Judge.
Good morning, Mr. Bellamy. How are you, sir?
I'm all right.
You are charged with trespass in an unoccupied structure. What say you, Mr. Reedy?
Judge, I think Mr. Bellamy may be inclined to try and resolve this case this morning. Would that be correct, Mr. Bellamy?
Yes, sir.
What say you, State?
Your Honor, I'm looking for the paperwork.
It's on page 7. It's McDonald's, B-E-L-L-A-M-Y.
Yeah,
Mr. Reedy, would you loan the prosecutor your document? B as in boy?
I have it, Judge.
You don't have it?
No, I have it. I just found
Oh,
it.
okay, I'm sorry.
One thing I can tell you, Judge, I have to confirm, but you have a JS. Could you go to Bellamy, please? Oh, see, registered, go to Hot Ones. Go to NCIC. Go to DOC. I'm seeing something that gives me reason to believe he may be registered.
Okay.
So I just want to make sure before.
Absolutely.
See, he was charged with failing to register.
Failing to register, not me.
Well, hold on, Mr. Bellamy. The state's taking a look at something, so we're going to try and resolve this morning if we can, all right?
All right.
So just bear with us for a moment.
Okay, Your Honor, I don't see anything in the system indicating he's registered. I can see in 2008 in Broward, it looks like he was charged. It was with failing to register. It was an old prost. while I can state I don't see anything indicating he's registered, I can't be 100% positive at this point, so I have no objection to the court proceeding, but.
I would think we could put him on for 1:30, so you could double check. I don't want to see.
Well, the only thing is, Your Honor. Yeah, but it was downfiled to a battery. He was, in 2007, he was charged with an offense that would, if convicted, lead to, but it was pled down to a battery.
Okay, that would strike me that there's no registration requirement then.
No, I wouldn't, no, there wouldn't be. I'm just saying, just, to cover our bases if we want to resolve, I would just ask if Your Honor would advise him in colloquy that if he is registered, there could be.
Well, okay, so Mr. Bellamy, there's an issue about whether or not you should register, and you know the meaning of that?
No, Your Honor, I'm 100% sure that the charge was downfiled to a battery charge, and I didn't have to register. I took a year and a day prison, and it got resolved.
Okay. So Mr. Bellamy, then what say you state as to resolution?
I have no objection to the court resolving it. It's trespass. One moment, I just want to see.
It's a McDonald's.
Yeah,
Mr.
no. I
Bellamy.
just wanted to. It's just a matter. He just refused to leave. No allegations. He was harassing customers.
Right.
So I'd have no
Okay.
objection to time served.
Okay, so Mr. Bellamy, I would withhold adjudication and take judicial notice of the time you've served and waive the court costs and fines and order you not to return to that McDonald's at 27 West Broward Boulevard. Apparently you had been told earlier not to return. So do you want to resolve your case that way, Mr. Bellamy?
Yes, ma'am.
Okay, then that's my sentence. Have a wonderful day, sir.
So I'll be released today?
If there's nothing else holding you, yes, sir.
All right.
All right. That takes us to Orkale Rakeus May, M-A-Y.
He's here present, Judge, at Maine.
Okay.
Judge, we'd be waiting formal reading as far as what the out-of-state hold is regarding.
Okay, then Mr. May, you are being held for out-of-state hold. You have a no bond hold. They'll come and get you soon. I do find probable cause. Have a wonderful day, sir.
Thank you.
Okay, Erica Duritsky, D-U-R-I-T.
North Broward.
Okay. Good morning, Ms. Duritsky. You are charged with violation of your misdemeanor probation in case number 17-5573 MU10A.
Your Honor, Mr. Ritsky indicated to me that she has retained private counsel.
Oh, okay.
Lee Summers, I have the phone number. I did not get a chance to call him before we started. I don't know how you want to handle that.
Can we put it on a brief recall and see if maybe you have that opportunity now?
Sure,
to read it?
sure.
And let him know I'm happy to have him appear by phone.
I'll be glad to give him a call.
Okay, Ms. Duritsky, just have a seat. We're trying to get your attorney. Patricia Ann Lane.
So North Broward, Judge.
I notice we have people in the audience. If I call the name of the person you're here on behalf of, just approach the podium. I'm happy to hear from anybody. Okay?
It's Mr. Trissant there here on, Judge.
What did I say?
Trissant?
I'm on Lane, right?
Yes, you're on Lane now.
Okay. Oh, they're on Tristan.
Yes. Judge, Ms. Lane would like to resolve this matter this morning unless her daughter has posted her bond. I don't know if there's any indication as to that.
Good morning, Ms. Lane. How are you, ma'am? We're trying to find out if your daughter's posted your bond, and if not, see if we can resolve your case, okay? Anybody on no posted?
I have no indication that the bond is posted.
Okay. What say you, state?
One moment, Judge. She has priors, including felonies, most recently an aggravated battery in 2014. That being said, I have no objection to the court resolving it.
And I'd also point out, Judge, that while there might be probable cause for resisting arrest without violence, while there might be probable cause for resisting without violence, the resisting is that she walked around for a few minutes. It's not that she pushed away from the officer or tensed her body or attempted to resist in that fashion.
And just for the record, that's not the allegation. The resistance alleged is when she was refused to stand up and place her hands behind her back.
Well, she's in a wheelchair.
She has neuropathy, Judge.
No.
If that's the allegation, I find no probable cause.
Well, Your Honor, not everyone in the jail in the wheelchair is at a wheelchair at the scene.
Well, she's also
Because it does say that she.
58 years old.
I understand, Your Honor. It does say she paced about the property, so I don't think she could pace in a wheelchair.
Okay, I'm gonna ROR you, Miss Lane. Your daughter's gonna come get you? Can your daughter come and get you?
Catch the bus. I don't have nobody.
You don't have anybody to get you?
No, I had to catch the public bus. That's why I was there catching the free bus.
Don't say anything about your case, Miss Lane, but didn't you tell me that your daughter Octavia is going to come get you?
My daughter's supervisor at Broward Medical Center Medical Records. She's at work.
Okay.
Okay, well, as soon as, we're gonna call
I got
her.
other kids.
You have other kids?
Yeah, I got 4 kids.
Okay, can
My
you,
daughter,
I'm releasing you. Can you give, phone numbers to us, for your other children so we can
yeah, my
contact?
daughter live in Tamarack. My
All right.
oldest daughter.
What's her phone number?
954-667-4266.
What's her name?
Keontae, that's my oldest daughter. She's 38. My daughter worked at Broward Center 31. That's my baby daughter.
Keontae. We're gonna call her and let her know that she needs to come and get you, okay?
Okay, thank you.
Thank you very much, Ms. Lane.
And you have a blessed day.
You too, ma'am.
Thank you.
Linda K. Morgan,
Ms. Morgan, I've been advised judges in medical reset.
okay? Ashley Dagan,
She bonded, Your Honor.
Shayna Howe.
She's here, present judge at Maine.
Good morning, Ms. Howe. You are charged with driving with a suspended license and failure in attaching a registration or plate not assigned. I do find probable cause. What say you, Mr. Romero?
Judge, in speaking of Ms. Howell, she's a lifelong resident of Broward County. She's 24 years old, graduated from Nova High School. At this time, she is employed. She works at Dunkin' Donuts. She's been working for Dunkin' Donuts for 1 year. She lives with her mother in Sunrise. Judge, I'd ask you at this time, this is a nonviolent offense. Would you consider releasing Ms. Howell ROR?
I do ROR you, Ms. Howe. Good luck to you.
Thank you.
Jessica Camacho.
North Broward, Your Honor.
Good morning, Your Honor.
Good morning, Ms. Camacho. How are you?
Depressed.
Okay.
But I'm okay.
Well, hang in there. You are charged with violating your probation in case number 1315975. You are going before your judge on November 14th at 9 a.m. Good luck to you, ma'am. I do find probable cause.
Thank you.
Jennifer Barrios.
Ms. Barrios is approaching, Judge. She's here at Maine.
Good morning, Ms. Barrios. You are charged with possession of cannabis, and there's also an out-of-county hold from
Dade County.
Dade
Judge,
County.
one request. My understanding is she has a bigger issue in Dade County. On this cannabis charge, would you consider an ROR so that Dade County can come and pick her up?
So ordered. You are ROR'd on count 1, and you will be picked up by Dade. Good luck to you, ma'am.
Thank you, Judge.
Tammy Jo Davis. Is she with
No,
you?
sorry, Your Honor.
Okay, thank you, Deputy. Good morning, Ms. Davis. You are charged with grand theft, petty theft, uttering a false instrument, and attempted to use the ID of another without consent. I do find probable cause. Your bond is as follows. On count 1, it's $1,000. I am RORing you on count 2. On count 3, it's $1,000, and on count 4, it's $1,000. Thank you very much, Ms. Davis. Tiola Corrales.
Ms. Corrales is here, present judge at Maine. She is approaching, and she did decline to serve the public defender.
Judge, could you recall Miss Davis for a moment?
Sure.
I was a bit distracted.
I'm sorry.
That's all right. It's not a problem.
I should have referred to you. North Broward, can I see Ms. Davis again? Proceed.
Judge, Miss Davis has been living here for 22 years. Unfortunately, right now she's homeless. She's been living at the St. Lawrence shelter for the last 5 months. She has no money. She has no way to bond out. And from what she tells me, she has no criminal history whatsoever. I would ask the court to consider pretrial release for Miss Davis.
What says the state?
Your Honor, I do see priors out of Michigan for same offenses, similar offenses. Also noting the amount of the attempted alleged theft. Your Honor, noting that apparently I have concerns based on her statement that she receives a percentage of checks for attempting to cash it as form of payment. Also having 3 stolen credit cards on her at the time that were reported stolen a month ago out of Georgia.
Okay, I appreciate your arguments, Mr. Reedy, but those are overruled without prejudice to make them before the trial judge. Paola Corrales?
Thank you, Judge.
She's here at main, Judge. She did decline.
Okay, Ms. Corrales, you are charged with grand theft. And also with failing to appear in case number 17-1037 MM30A. Your bond on count 1 is $1,000. Your bond on count 2 is $250, and your bond on count 3 is $250. I do find probable cause. Thank you, ma'am. Maria Williams.
She's downtown, Your Honor.
Thank you, sir. Are we? This
said she's downtown.
Oh, not downtown with Mr. Romero.
No.
Oh, okay. I got my downtowns mixed up. All right. Reset then. What to 1:30? If she's in, is she in court?
No, she's in the airport.
Okay. Well, I'm thinking that's what she's in court on. Okay, reset to tomorrow. All right. Harriet Darlene Singleton.
Medical reset, Your Honor.
Okay. Taquita Pitts.
North Broward.
Thank you. Yes, sir. Tequesta Pitts. I apologize. Well, come on up, sir.
Good morning.
Good morning, Ms. Pitts. How are you this morning?
Good morning, Your Honor. I'm with the Office of Regional Counsel. I represent her on her dependency case.
Okay.
I thought it would be important that I speak as to no contact and pretrial release. While this case, the allegations are from April.
Would you state your appearance for the record, please?
Kevin Moore.
Good morning, Mr. Moore.
While the allegations are from April, the dependency court has been involved since March. She's had a case plan that she's been following very well, which includes counseling, anger management, therapy, domestic violence for victims, and parenting. She's been actively engaged in that. When this first came in GM Bovin's courtroom, we noticed that she had this open charge. She did nothing to try to avoid it. Deputies came in. They mistakenly released her. She continued to come to her court hearings. She's done nothing to avoid the court. Judge Schulman, when she issued the order revoking the ROR, which was improperly ordered, she specifically put in the order that the...
I've reviewed the order.
Okay. Because she was concerned that a no-contact order would be very detrimental. In the dependency courts, the well-being of the children is one of the most important concerns, and she's closely monitored by the child advocate. She's maintained constant contact with the child advocate. She wished to be here today, but she couldn't. And based on those arguments, I'd ask that a no-contact order be entered.
Are there other children in the home that she's living in?
I believe she has 2 other children in the home. I'm not sure.
And are those children subject to Judge Schulman's orders as well?
I would have to double check.
How old are the other children?
I don't have their ages on me right now, Your Honor.
Well, I have concerns given the probable cause affidavit with the other children in the home. She's welcome to go back before Judge Busan and modify my orders, but I do not want her to have, given the nature of the allegations, I do not want her to have contact with minor children until further order of Judge Usan.
Your Honor, I mean, like I said, my main argument was that she's very closely watched by the dependency courts, and that for the past 5 to 6 months, she's only demonstrated a willingness to prove herself, and the dependency court has recognized that. And like I said, their largest concerns in dependency court are the best interests of the child and their safety.
Well, the allegations are very serious, and the admissions she made are not consistent with the allegations, which leads me to think that there's more than one allegation that didn't get charged. How many parenting classes has she attended?
I believe she engaged 2 months ago. I don't know how many classes she's attended. She could.
How often a week, counsel, do you go to parenting classes?
I believe it's every other week. But I
believe.
Yes.
Well, I'm going to order that she be on a level 2 monitor, that she only be allowed to go to work, home, court, or classes consistent with the court's orders, that she have no contact with any minors that are not involved in the suit, in the dependency action. That's 12-3919 DP. That's Judge Schulman's action, and that she can go before Judge Usan before Judge Usan to seek to modify this. But I have concerns about the safety of children around this this defendant, based on my finding of probable cause and her admissions in the affidavit.
Okay, if I understand you correctly, she's to have no contact with children that are not part of the dependency petition?
Those children are under Judge Schulman's jurisdiction. If she has other children, until there's further order from Judge Usan, I don't want her to have contact with them. I don't want her to live with them or be in the same house with anybody who is under the age of 18 right now.
I believe she has a newborn.
I don't want her to have contact with the newborn. I don't know how many parenting classes she's attended. You can't tell me how many she goes to every week. I am concerned, based on this affidavit and the allegations of prior incidences of contacts with DCF, and they're indicating that she broke the hanger, and that and when she was asked, she indicated she hit the child with a different object, and the child is 6 years old, and there were reports to a caregiver or to school or someone regarding the beating being so bad the hanger broke. And I cannot, in good conscience, allow her to be around minor children based on the information that I have. Okay? Thank you. She's on a level 2 monitor, lockdown unless it's work, home, or classes.
No bond necessary.
Excuse me?
No bond necessary.
I'll release her based on the ROR, the previous ROR, but I don't have enough information, so if you were able to bring me more information, I would be able to review it. Judge Usan will be happy to hear
Your Honor,
this matter.
As to the no contact order, could we move it back to the next, I could come in with more information at 1 o'clock, possibly.
This was on yesterday.
I was here at 8:30, and then I had a 1:30 evidentiary hearing. I couldn't make it.
I understand, but I'm just trying to say you've had ample notice.
All right.
Okay?
Thank you,
can
Your
bring
Honor.
it before Judge Usan. You may make all these arguments before Judge Usan. Okay?
Thank you.
Thank you.
And, Your Honor,
No contact with any minor children that are not the subject of Judge Schulman's order. If she has a newborn, until further order from Judge Usan, no contact.
just for the record, Your Honor, I will contact Child Protective Services so they can make sure if any of those children.
Thank you, sir.
Yeah, who's the judge? Can you
Your Honor, I'm Mr. Ritsky. Mr. Lee Summers, her attorney, is available to appear by phone.
Great.
Just one.
I'm going home.
Your Honor, I'm sorry.
That's okay.
You said, regarding the
Okay, Mr. Ritsky, we're getting your attorney.
Hello.
Good morning, Mr. Summers. This is Judge Benson. We are here in the first appearance hearing of Erica Dawn Doritsky. She's charged with violation of probation in case number 17-5573 MU10A. Her bond is $2,500. I do find probable cause. How can I help you, sir?
Well, Your Honor, I appreciate the opportunity to appear by phone.
Yes, sir.
On short notice. I would ask that a plea be entered and a hearing be scheduled.
She has a hearing scheduled on November 13th at 1:30 p.m. In what courtroom?
It's Judge Levy. I don't know.
In Judge Levy's courtroom, and her
Okay.
courtroom number is?
One moment.
Mr. Reedy, you got Judge Levy's?
I can try and look it up. Hang on 1 second.
I'm sure it's November 13th at 1:30, Your Honor.
Yes, sir.
I'm sure it'll be in the clerk's office in a day or two. I'll
Okay.
find it.
Thank you very much, sir. I
I
appreciate it.
appreciate the attempt to
Yes,
give
sir.
me the information, Your Honor.
All right. You're welcome, sir. Have a nice day.
All right, you too.
Thank
Bye-bye.
you. Okay, Mark Sontag. Good morning, Mr. Sontag. You are charged with violation of probation in case number 17-2232 MU10A. You have a VOP hearing set on 11/13, November 13th at 1:30. I believe that is also before Judge Levy. Thank you, sir. Patrick
Sorry,
Lee
November 13th at 1:30 p.m.
Wells.
Mr. Wells, come on up. Mr. Wells is a
Good morning, Mr. Wells. You are charged with trespass. I do find probable cause. What say you, Mr. Romero?
Mr. Wells is inquiring if Your Honor would consider resolving his case today, Judge.
Certainly. What say you, State?
Just to advise the court, Mr. Wells was arrested 2 weeks ago for possession of cocaine paraphernalia. He's out on ROR.
Okay.
I have no objection to the court.
I know. I'm
okay. I'm sorry. I just didn't know if you were waiting.
Mr. Romero, I have concerns about his guidelines.
I know. Let me talk to him, Judge.
Okay.
Judge, Mr. Wells still wants to go. Oh, one more question. One second. Judge, I explained as far as score sheets. Judge, Mr. Wells at this time still wishes to inquire if resolving his case today for time served.
Okay, well, Mr. Wells, you understand that this resolution today, because you want to get out this morning, could make the difference between you going to prison and getting out on some sort of probation upstairs on your possession of cocaine. Do you understand that?
Yeah.
Okay, well, having told you that, I will allow you to come back and pull your plea in the event it does make a difference, and I will withhold adjudication and take judicial notice of the time you've served. Listen, you can't go back to the racetrack on Atlantic Boulevard. Apparently, they don't want you there. They call the police every time they see you in the parking lot, so you have to find someplace else to go, okay? Can you do that?
Mm-hmm.
Okay, I'm going to waive court costs and fines, but you're not allowed to return to that racetrack, okay? Thank you, sir. Russell Newby?
Mr. Newby is approaching, Judge.
Okay. Good morning, Mr. Newby. Apparently, they're alleging you failed to appear in court on case number 17-3651 MM40A. I do find probable cause. What say you, Mr. Romero?
Judge, in speaking Mr. Newby, he's also inquiring if Your Honor would consider resolving his case today.
Certainly. What says the state?
Under state would offer adjudication time served. Mr. Newby he's been through this courtroom a lot, as you could probably tell from the amount of aliases listed on his booking.
Mr. Newby, this adjudication is for a trespass. I'm sure that if you get arrested again for trespass, there's a good chance they're going to file it as a felony. That means you would go to prison for 5 years for trespass.
Yeah, ma'am. All right. I'm doing pretty good. I was homeless at the time. I was sleeping when they wrote me the ticket.
Okay.
But since then, I've been at the BOC for 90 days, and I'm doing very well. I've got
That's
a job.
great.
I'm missing work right now.
Okay, well, let's get you back to work, and you're not allowed to return to
It's a dollar store on
the dollar
Federal
store
Highway in Hollywood.
in Hollywood, where you were arrested. You can't go back to that dollar store, okay, Mr. Newby?
Yes, ma'am.
Take care of yourself, sir. I'm waiving
Thank you,
court
lady.
costs. I adjudicated time served, waiver of court costs and fines. Patrick Martin?
Mr. Martin's approaching, Judge.
Good morning, Mr. Martin. You are charged with failing to appear in court on case number 17-43161 TC20A and 17-43181 TC20A. What say you, Mr. Romero?
Judge, being Mr. Martin, I'm going to be requesting you, Your Honor, consider releasing Mr. Martin on his own recognizance.
Why'd you miss court, Mr. Martin?
I apologize. I didn't know at the time. I approached the deputy who was in the in a parking garage at one point, and he told me that I'd have to go down to the Broward County Sheriff's Office and tell me what's going on, and I couldn't locate it. You know, I went and looked for it, but I just kind of got lost and like really dehydrated, and you know.
Okay, so what is your? Where do you get your mail?
Well, I get my mail in St. Augustine, Florida.
Well, that's a problem. You don't have a local address?
No, I don't have a local address. I tried to get one here in town, but when I got in the accident, I had like some sort of problem where like they said my license was suspended, and then I had I tried to reinstate my license, but it didn't work out. So I wasn't aware that the whole
Don't talk about the facts.
I don't know how we can release him, Mr. Romero, when he doesn't even have a local address to receive mail.
Judge, he's homeless.
He's not. This is going to be a recurring problem. He's obviously got someone in St. Augustine. What, prosecutor? What say you?
Yes, Your Honor. Just for Mr. Martin's consideration, if this would be a first DWS, the state's offer would be a withhold.
Okay, so Mr. Martin, I don't know that I can release you. I do want to inform you that the state's offer is that we would withhold adjudication as to driving while license suspended and withhold adjudication as to the second, I think it's a failure to register. what's this, failure to register your vehicle. So that would mean no points, but it would mean that you might have a problem if you get rearrested. You need to get it. You need to get the license squared away. But without even a good local address, I can't release you because I don't know that you'll be back for court. You can.
I could do whatever I need to do to get a local address. I attempted to get one. I was unsuccessful. I went to the library and spoke to them.
How about if I
Judge,
reduce your
he
bond?
did mention the library. One thing, though, Judge, he did mention the library, so he knows where Broward County public libraries are. They have access to computers. He could log online and go to the clerk of court's website and put in his name and look if he has any future court dates. I know that's been done in the past for other homeless individuals.
What's going on with St. Augustine? Is that where your family is?
No, I'm kind of estranged from my parents are divorced and everything. So basically, I came down after the storm. There was a storm in St. Augustine, and I come down here a lot. So I didn't have an address. I tried to get an address.
What's your parents' phone numbers?
I have no idea, to be honest with you. I really have no idea.
How much longer are you going to live on the street? I'm sure your parents are worried about you.
Well, I tried to reach out to, local sources, but I only kind of got a code soldier, and so I don't really know where to go. So.
So Mr. Romero, you want me to release Mr. Martin in hopes that he'll go to the library?
It's from my point of view, Judge. I mean, the alternative is having him sit here in jail.
How about if we put him on for 1:30 and somebody get these court dates set for him? So can we find out when these court dates would be set on these two traffic cases, and we can give him notice right now? Is that possible? Monsieur Clerk? Okay, let's put him on recall. We're going to try to give him his court date now. Joel Epstein.
North Broward, Your Honor.
Thank you, sir.
It should be Brian.
Good morning, Mr. Epstein. You are charged with disorderly conduct and resisting an officer without violence. Your bond, I do find probable cause. Mr. Reedy, what say you as to Mr. Epstein?
I have a hearing problem. What was the question?
I believe Mr. Epstein, if he's capable of doing so, would like to resolve his case.
Okay.
Yes.
Mr. What say the state?
Your Honor, Mr. Epstein does have priors, including felonies. State's offer to resolve the matter to be adjudication time served on both counts.
Mr. Epstein, why did you pitch such a fit in the, I need to know that you're not going to go back to the, I'm sorry, I've got you wrong. Yeah, I need to know that you're not going to go back to that diner on Broward Boulevard.
Ma'am, I would not. I have my own home. My daughter's here. I got 3 years, 1 month, and 27 days clean from drugs and alcohol. I get $3,000 a month from a pension. I just happened to go there that day, and a security guard, got in my face, and I paid for the food at that place. All right, and he pushed me. So I stepped back to defend myself, and then the cops showed up, and that's how it went down.
Okay, well,
yes,
they have a very different version, very different version of what happened.
I'll never go back there.
Okay, so I'm going to adjudicate you guilty of disorderly conduct and resisting without violence, and I'm going to sentence you to the time you've already served. I'm going to waive your costs and fines. What's your daughter's phone number so she can come get you?
I have $110 in the property. I'll just take a taxi home with the card they give me.
Okay, sir. Good luck to you.
All right.
Ryan Maynard.
Is that it?
Yes, sir.
Thank you, ma'am.
Thank you, Mr. Epstein. Ryan Maynard.
Judge, did you call Ryan Maynard?
Yes, sir.
Judge, I've been informed he bonded.
Okay. Tyrone Johnson.
Mr. Johnson is approaching. He's here at Main, Judge.
Thank you, sir. Good morning, Mr. Johnson. You are charged with failing to appear in court on case number 16-1715 MM20A. Your
Judge,
bond is...
speaking Mr. Johnson, he's inquiring if Your Honor would consider resolving his case today.
What say you state?
Your Honor, it appears that Mr. Johnson has a state prison sentence that's actually expired yesterday, so I'm just checking. I'm going to make an offer. I just want to make sure that there's no issues with the allegations.
Mr. Johnson, did they transport you straight here from state prison?
Yes, ma'am.
Okay. Which facility were you in?
One in CI.
I'm going to withhold adjudication and take judicial notice of the time you've served. If you'd like to get it over with today, I'll waive any court costs and fines.
Yes, ma'am, I want to do that.
Okay. Good luck to you, sir. Congratulations.
Good luck, sir. All right, thank you.
Arthur Keene.
Mr. Keene, he's approaching. He declined to serve as the public defender.
Good morning, Mr. Keene. You're charged with violating your probation in case number 16-1936 MU10A. You will be going before Judge Levy on November 22nd at 1:30 p.m. I do find probable cause. Thank you, sir. Rico Jones.
Mr. Jones, come on up, please.
Good morning, Mr. Jones. You are charged with failing to appear in case number 11-48709 TC30. I do find probable cause. What say you, Mr. Romero?
Judge, in speaking Mr. Jones, he says he wishes to resolve it. My understanding, similar situation, he was extradited from prison. I believe he's scheduled, his release date is this Monday. So this is the only thing holding up. He's wanting to know if Your Honor would consider resolving his case.
Certainly, Mr. Jones. What says the state?
I have no objection.
I'm going to withhold adjudication on driving while license suspended, waive all court costs and fines, but order you not to drive until you get that license straightened out, Mr. Jones. Best of luck to you, sir. I'm waiving your court costs. Cirillo Dowdy.
North Broward, I believe, Judge.
Thank you. Thank you, Deputy. Good morning, Mr. Dowdy. You are charged with criminal mischief. What say you, Mr. Reedy?
I think Mr. Dowdy would like to know if the court would consider resolving this case.
Well, I'm concerned that you caused $300 worth of damage to this woman's windshield. How are we going to fix her windshield, Mr. Dowdy?
I'll pay for it. I'll pay for it, and I apologize for all of that. I had a low moment. I didn't mean to be disrespectful and rude. I just looked at myself. Been looking at myself lately, and going into the new year, I'm not as successful as I would like to be, and I had a low moment. I had a day that's very, very uncharacteristic. I don't know who that person was, and I'll gladly pay for the damage. And I apologize, and I apologize for having a low moment, and for being uncharacteristic, and for disrespecting law enforcement, citizens, and everybody. And I wish it did not happen. That is not me.
All right, thank you very much, Mr. Dowdy. I appreciate your sentiments. What say the state?
Your Honor, I have I'll, as far as release conditions, whatever the court wants to do, I'm fine with it. I would ask that the court not resolve the matter at this time, only because the state would want an opportunity to speak with the victim, get maybe a more firm amount of restitution.
So, Mr. Dowdy, I'm going to release you on to pretrial release. You're going to be living at 3165 Northwest 40th Street, Lauderdale Lakes, Florida 33309. Is that correct?
Yes, thank you.
Okay, you're to undergo a mental health evaluation as a condition of your release. Can you do that for me, sir?
Tell me what to do.
Okay.
Yes.
So you're going to follow all the terms and conditions of pretrial release, correct?
Yes, ma'am.
Does pretrial release have any other recommendations? I don't know that. I don't see. But you are going to also undergo a drug evaluation, okay, Mr. Dowdy?
May I say something?
It's not a good idea. Remember I said they're recording everything, okay? And I have heard you, and I do appreciate your comments, okay? We're just trying to make sure we have you safe when we let you out.
Your Honor, I would just request one additional condition of no victim contact.
You're not to have any contact whatsoever, and you probably wouldn't, but don't even have a friend or relative call or try to reach Brittany Johnson, okay? That's the person who had the windshield. Do not try to speak with her at all, except through your lawyer, okay?
Yes.
Okay. Yes, ma'am. Thank you very much, sir. John De Paloma?
Paloma is here, present, Judge at Maine. Come on up, Mr. De
Okay.
Paloma.
Good morning, Mr. De Paloma. Let me get to you. You are charged with failing to appear on case number 16-14756 TC40A. What say you, Mr. Romero?
Judge, in speaking with Mr. De Paloma, he advised me he was unaware of his court date. He's 25 years old, been living in our community now for 15 years. He attended North Miami Beach Senior High School.
Beach High.
He's a Charger.
Okay.
He lives with his parents. Judge, he is working. He works on boats. His father is going to be the only one that can post his bond. He also works on boats. From what I believe money's a little tight. Judge, would you consider an ROR on Mr. De Paloma's behalf?
What say you, State?
One moment, Your Honor.
Why did you miss court, Mr. De Paloma? Is this the same address that we have? Mr. Clerk, 301 East Chaminade Drive, Hollywood, 33021?
No, ma'am. That's the address is invalid. I live in Plantation. I had missed court last year. I was in custody from March to September of 2016. I'm not sure if the court.
So you're living at 1331 Southwest 82nd Avenue, number 1911, Plantation 33324?
Yes, ma'am.
Mr. Clerk, can we change that in the system? Okay.
I'm showing one on his driving record. 1, 2, 3, 4, 5 separate suspensions all for failing to appear in
so
court.
I'm going to place you on pretrial release. Do you have a car?
No, ma'am. No, ma'am.
You are not to drive while you're on pretrial release. You are to turn over any license or any other items that you have, okay?
Understood.
You are not to, no driving, okay?
Understood, Your
Some
Honor.
people can get away with it. You seem to be a magnet for police officers when you get behind the wheel, wouldn't you say? Let's make our best efforts to try to get the license cleared up, okay? You're to call pretrial release once a week. You don't have to report, but I don't want you driving. And,
Understood, ma'am.
and they will let me know if they know you're driving.
Okay.
Yes.
Okay, here's the
You're
map
released.
to pretrial. You'll be released today.
Okay.
Thank you.
As soon as you
Yes,
get
sir.
released, you have to report to
Mateus de
pretrial.
Oliveira.
It's across the street, okay?
Your Honor, I've been advised that Mr. De Oliveira will require a Portuguese interpreter. There is not one available this morning. They will have one here at 1:30.
Okay, we'll reset him to 1:30. Thank you, Mr. Reedy. John Toomey. John Toomey.
Mr. Toomey, come on up. Judge, he declined the service of public defender.
Mr. Toomey, you're charged with possession of cannabis. I do find probable cause. How long have you lived at 1830 Northeast 43rd Street, Fort Lauderdale 33308?
My whole life.
What say you, State? I'd like to release him. Any objection?
He's got a pending felony for fleeing and eluding law enforcement and tampering with evidence.
What's the problem? Pending felony as in he's on bond for the pending felony?
Check what the actual conditions are.
Your Honor, I'd like to.
Yes, he's out on bond.
You really should get the lawyer because you've got the pending felony, and like I've said a couple times now, they're recording you. And what you think is a wonderful thing to say might end up haunting you later on. So who's your lawyer on the pending felony?
Hugo Apollones.
Okay.
Apollones. I don't know his number, so I haven't been able to let him know that I'm in here.
Okay.
And I told the public defender that I have a lawyer. So
okay, that's why. Okay. I am going to reset you to 1 o'clock, and we'll get a hold of Mr. Apollones for you. Okay, Mr. Toomey?
All right. I have another.
Do you have his number? I'll call him for you.
No, I don't have his number. I know my dad has his number. I can give you my dad's number.
All right.
Okay, hit it.
Does that work?
Yeah.
Yeah.
My dad's name's Daniel. His number is 954-295-3156.
Okay. I'll call your dad.
Okay, Mr. Toomey, we're gonna see you at 1:30.
All right, thank you.
Thank you, sir. Lorenzo Royster.
Royster. Go, sir.
Mr. Royster is here present, Judge?
Good morning, Mr. Royster. You're charged with knowingly giving false information to a law enforcement officer regarding an alleged crime. I do find probable cause. What say you, Mr. Romero? May I inquire what level this is? Is it a first-degree misdemeanor?
Yes.
Okay. Proceed, Mr.
Mr.
Romero.
Royster is inquiring, Judge, if he can resolve this case.
What say you, State?
Yeah, the state's offered being adjudication time served. Mr. Royster has a lengthy criminal history. He's gone to prison in the past.
Mr. Royster, if you'd like to resolve the case this morning, I'm going to adjudicate you guilty and sentence you to the time you've served. I'm also going to require that you testify truthfully if you're called against Mr. Bryan. Do you want to accept that offer?
Yes.
And is your address good? 510 Northwest 33rd Terrace, Fort Lauderdale, Florida, 33311?
Yes.
Okay, you're going to waive your right to have a trial, to have the lawyers represent you at the trial, to have them call witnesses on your behalf to testify or not to testify, to cross-examine any witnesses or evidence that's presented by the state, and to appeal the outcome if you're unhappy with the outcome. Do you waive all those rights, sir?
Yes.
Then I'm going to adjudicate you guilty, sentence you to time served, and waive any court costs and fees. Thank you, Mr. Royster. Robert Casper.
Mr. Casper, come on up, please. You called Mr. Robert Casper, Judge?
I did, sir. Kasper.
Casper, hold on.
All right.
Mr. Casper. He's approaching, Judge.
Okay. Good morning, Mr. Casper. You are charged with failing to appear in case number 17-3824-MO40A. What say you, Mr. Romero?
Judge, Mr. Casper is letting me know he wants to resolve his case today.
What say you, State?
I believe it's a municipal ordinance, Your Honor.
I'm sorry, I couldn't hear you, sir.
I believe it's a municipal ordinance.
Okay. Mr. Casper, you're charged with failing to appear. Is your address still 5826 Hood Street, Hollywood, Florida, 33021?
Yes, ma'am.
Okay, I'm releasing you on your own recognizance.
Yes, ma'am.
Thank you, sir. Marcus Sykes.
Mr. Sykes, come on up. 10.
Good morning, Mr. Sykes. You're charged with petty theft. I am RORing you on that case. You're charged with violation of your probation on a misdemeanor. You have a hearing on that case on November 9th at 2 o'clock in courtroom 235. You're charged with traffic warrants on case number 16-43672 TC20 and 16- same case, two counts. I'm RORing you on those cases. So you're ROR'd on count 1. Your bond is $500 or go to court on the 9th, which is tomorrow at 2 o'clock. You're ROR'd on the traffic and you're ROR'd on the last traffic. Thank you very much. I do find probable cause. Thank you, Mr. Sykes. Jonathan Martinez.
Your Honor, on Mr. Oh, I'm sorry, ma'am.
Hi.
Sorry, come back.
Hang on just one second.
He's going to court before his judge tomorrow at 2, and then the other cases he will be released on if he or she does not handle those cases. That'll be in courtroom 235.
235. So,
yes, ma'am.
About the bond, like.
Well, if you want to pay $500, he would be released on that bond, but I cannot disturb that bond because the judge who placed him on probation has set that bond.
Thank you, Judge.
Yes, ma'am.
Judge, on Mr. Toomey, I have Mr. Apollon's on the phone. He says he can come right over.
Okay, can I have
So
it? Yes.
instead of having him reset for 1:30,
Sure. Tell him.
can we bring Mr. Toomey back?
What was his name again?
Toomey.
John Toomey.
John Toomey. Can we bring him right back?
Well, we have to wait for Mr. Apollonis. But ask him to keep him here. When Mr. Apollonis gets here, we'll handle his case. Is that okay, Mr. Romero?
Yes.
Okay.
Okay, whenever you get here, we're ready for you.
Jonathan Martinez?
Okay, all right, you go. No problem, bye-bye.
I've been informed he's bonded, Judge.
Does the court
Okay, bonded.
does the court find probable cause on count 1?
On the,
Possession of cannabis on
yes.
count 1?
Yes. I said I find probable cause, like it was a global item.
Well, I just wanted to make sure. I'm sure the court's aware why.
Yes, sir. William Ard.
Mr. Ard, come on up.
Good morning, Mr. Ard. You're charged with failing to appear on case number 17-36370, TC40A. What say you, Mr. Romero?
I'm inquiring right now, Judge. Judge, I know Mr. Ard is having some issues with this case. I believe he's looking forward to his day in court.
Okay. Shows he
he's,
does it.
what-
Are you from Mississippi or Missouri? I get my MS's mixed up, Mr. Ard.
I'm actually from Pensacola, Florida.
Oh, okay. Well, we don't have a good address for you, so we're concerned.
It's on my
Yes, good
driver's
afternoon.
license. They've
Good
taken
morning,
it 100
Governor.
times.
Brian Reedy, I'm an attorney with the Public
Right, I
Defender's
mean in
Office. I'm trying
terms
to
of
reach out to you.
a local address, sir. I'm
I
sorry.
don't have a local address.
Right, that's our
Send it to
concern.
her. She'll contact me.
Oh, maybe I dialed it wrong.
Ma'am, if I were to resolve this today, what would it
5716 I'm
be?
looking for.
What says the state?
They would offer a withhold.
I would withhold adjudication, which means you would not have a record of conviction, take judicial notice of the time you've served, and waive your court costs and fines, and you would be released if this is the only thing holding you.
Well, let's do that. That's
Okay.
better than 250.
Okay, sir. I'm going to withhold adjudication. You're not doing withhold adjudication. Take judicial notice of the time you've served and waive your court costs and fines, and you are released on this case. Thank you, Mr. Ard. Dustin Richardson.
Is there anything else holding me, or can I go now?
I don't know. Good morning, Mr. Richardson. You are charged with petty theft and with violation of probation in case number 17-8609 MM10A. You are to go before your judge on the 13th of November at 2 p.m. I do find probable cause. I will ROR you on the petty theft. And if you resolve your case on the 13th, that will take care of it. Thank you, sir. Orlando Don Henry. Good morning.
Judge, Mr. Henry's here present at me.
Good morning, Mr. Henry. You are charged with petty theft. I do find probable cause. What say you, Mr. Romero?
Mr. Henry's inquiring if he would consider resolving case today, Judge.
What says the state?
Your Honor, again, I would ask that this matter not be resolved. This does not involve a theft where the property was recovered. This would involve a victim having to be paid back money.
Mr. Henry, are you still living? Oh, you don't have an address, sir. Okay, we used to call this failure to pay an innkeeper, defrauding an innkeeper, didn't we?
Right, yeah. It's $21 worth of food at IHOP.
I understand. Mr. Henry, what does Mr. Henry's history look like, State?
One moment, Your Honor. You pled out a battery, a month ago, resisting without violence, July, trespass, February, trespass, January, DUI, 2010, unauthorized sale of sound or video articles, and battery on a law enforcement officer with a violation of probation, 09, felony possession of cannabis, 06, with a violation of probation.
Okay. Mr. Henry, your bond is $25. I do find probable cause. Thank you, sir.
Judge, he isn't advising me, though, he has a mailing address even though he's homeless. So because he has a mailing address, would you
His
consider
bond is,
releasing him on pretrial?
I am not considering that history, no. Gary Altman?
Mr. Altman? Mr. Altman?
You've already gone on to that. Okay. Yeah.
Hold on one moment, Judge.
Sure.
Can we put him on recall?
Sure.
While we try and locate him?
Absolutely, Mr. Romero. Nathaniel Maurice Petgrave?
Mr. Petgrave is here, present, Judge Amin.
Good morning, Mr. Petgrave. You are charged with murder in the first degree, burglary of a dwelling, armed, and burglary of an unoccupied conveyance, unarmed. I do find probable cause. What says the state?
Your Honor, under Esaza v. State, the state is seeking a no-bond hold on counts 4 and 5, arguing for first appearance purposes only that proof of guilt is evident or presumption of guilt is great. On count 6, the state would be requesting a bond in the amount of $75,000, noting that he's already being held on 2 separate murder charges and 1 charge of attempted murder.
Mr. Reedy?
Your Honor, with regard to Mr. Petgrave, since he is being held on 2 other charges on no bond, we would reserve any argument regarding proof evident presumption great for his trial judge. In addition to that, at this time, we are invoking Mr. Petgrave's Fifth Amendment right to remain silent. We're putting law enforcement in the office of the state attorney on notice that they are not to contact Mr. Petgrave, attempt to have any conversations or communications with him without first noticing his attorney, who is Assistant Public Defender Phyllis Cook.
Thank you, sir. I will decline to set a bond in counts 4 and 5, and without prejudice to the defense, to raise those arguments at an Arthur hearing before the trial judge, and we'll set your bond on count 6 at $75,000. Thank you very much, Mr. Petgrave. Anthony Orlando Benitez?
Northborough, Judge.
Thank you. Good morning, Mr. Benitez. You are charged with violation of probation in case number 13-14509 CF10A. You will be going before your judge on November 15th at 8:30 a.m. Thank you, sir. I do find probable cause.
Excuse me, Judge, can I speak, say something?
I would advise against it, sir.
No, sir, we would advise,
It's nothing about my case.
Glenroy Houghton.
He's also North Broward.
I was trying to talk to my PD all morning. Let me see.
Good morning, Mr. Houghton. You are charged with violation of community control in case number 16-6046 CF10A. You will be going before your judge on November 15th at 8:30 a.m. I do find probable cause. Thank you, Mr. Houghton. Christopher Simmons.
Judge, he's here, present at Maine.
Okay.
But one quick matter before we get to Mr. Simmons. I know Mr. Craig Bikes, he's on page 15. I don't know if I heard correctly that he was to be reset at 1:30, and we just want to confirm whether or not it's going to be reset for 1:30.
But when we got to it, that is the request I was going to make. It's my understanding his attorney, Rick Douglas, will be here at 1:30.
Certainly. I didn't know that, but I'm happy to accommodate Mr. Douglas and the client. Christopher Simmons.
He's here, present at Maine.
Good morning, Mr. Simmons. You're charged with fleeing, eluding a law enforcement officer at a high rate of speed, reckless driving, and causing damage to person or property, and driving while license revoked as a habitual traffic offender. I do find probable cause. What says the state?
Your Honor, the state would be asking for a $15,000 bond on count 1. Mr. Simmons is currently out on bond. Actually, he was ROR'd in last year. Charges of trafficking heroin between 14 and 28 grams, possession of cocaine with intent to sell or distribute, DWS habitual offender, and misdemeanor possession of cannabis.
What case number?
16-4555 CF10A. Additionally,
Who's the judge on that matter?
Judge Howery. Just his most recent criminal history, Your Honor. Between 2009 2011, he was convicted of one case possession of cocaine with intent, four separate cases possession of cocaine. He violated his probation on all the cases and was sentenced to 50 months in Florida State Prison.
What say you, Mr. Romero?
Judge, in reference to his case right now, he's been residing in South Florida his whole life. He works at a labor pool. He makes approximately about $43 per day. He lives with his aunt in Pompano. Their total rent is approximately around, I believe he's told me, under $1,000 per month. He helps his aunt out. That's who he's going to actually be contacting to post his bond is his aunt. He believes the most she could afford on count one is $1,000 bond. That's what the defense will be requesting on count one, Judge.
I will, thank you, Mr. Romero. I will set your bond in the amount of $15,000 on count one. I believe count two is an ROR, and count three is an ROR. And I will revoke your release on case number 16-45555. Is that correct?
4 3 5s.
I'm sorry.
Yeah, I lost.
Okay. Before Judge Howery. Thank you very much, sir. Melvin Mitchell?
Mr. Mitchell is approaching, Judge.
Good morning, Mr. Mitchell. You are charged with failing to appear in felony case 17-4261 and failing to appear in misdemeanor case 16-56171 and failing to appear in case number 17-1322
We can hear you.
MM20A. I do, your bond on the felonies is a no bond hold. And your bond on the misdemeanor KPS 16-56171 is $1,000. Your bond on misdemeanor 17-1322 MM20A is $1,000 and $100 on count 1 and 2 respectively. I do find probable cause. Thank you, Mr. Mitchell.
Judge, Mr. Mitchell is inquiring if Your Honor would consider resolving his KPS cases.
He's on a felony KPS, and I don't think it would be any help to you, Mr. Mitchell. It's not a good idea, so no. Michael Redfern.
Mr. Redfern's here present, Judge. He declined to serve as a public defender.
Okay, good morning, Mr. Redfern. You are charged with count 1, burglary of a dwelling, count 2, larceny from a person 65 years of age or older. What says the status to count 1?
Your Honor, based on the allegations in the report and including that the home was occupied at the time, the state would be requesting a $6,500 bond for a total bond of $7,500 and no victim contact.
What say you, Mr. Romero? Oh, you did not. So yes, I am ordering that your bond be $6,500 on count 1 and $1,000 on count 2. You are to have absolutely no contact. You are not to come within 1,000 feet of the home or the work of Susan Redfern or anybody else in that family. Thank you, sir.
Thank you.
Right now? Bring Mr. Redfern back.
Mr. Redfern?
How many days is it?
That's all they have, 30.
Mr. Redfern, would you have any interest in the 30-day SAP program?
What's that?
That is a, can you describe it to him, Mr. Romero? It's.
Yes, I will. $6,500.
Judge, he's asking what was his bond.
Your bond is $6,500 on count 1 and $1,000 on count 2, so it's $7,500 altogether.
Okay, how much would that be, like, the percentage?
If you go through a bondsman, typically they ask 10%.
Okay.
They might ask for collateral.
I'm gonna
but
take
those are
that
the
he's
issues.
not
The issue is
interested
this,
in the
do you wanna
SAP
do
program.
program.
That's a no.
No, that's it.
Okay. Adam Franklin? Good morning, Mr. Franklin. You are charged with violation of probation in case number 16-10360 CF10A. You will be going before your judge on November 13th at 9:45 a.m. I do find probable cause. Thank you, sir. Derek Dunbar?
Mr. Dunbar?
Good morning, Mr. Dunbar. You are charged with violation of community control in case number 17-8449 CF10A, and the same in case number 15-12108 CF10A. I do find probable cause. You will be going before your judge on November 13th at 8:30 a.m. Thank you, sir. John Merritt?
Judge, Mr. Merritt is here present advising me as private counsel.
Okay. What is the name of your lawyer, sir?
Brian Onak, I haven't been able to contact him. Is there any way that
Could you spell his last name, please?
Onak?
Your Honor?
Yes, sir.
If the court can inquire, is his attorney out of
County, sir?
He is from Brevard County.
Let's put it on a short recall and see if he wants to appear by phone. Thank you, Mr. Merritt. Bikes, B-I-K-E-S?
That's the one we're asking to be reset for 1:30,
Okay.
so Mr. Douglas can attend.
Okay, and just
Who are we resetting to 1:30?
B-I-K-E-S,
Oh,
Craig
Mr.
Bikes.
Okay.
And
So Mr.
that's,
Bikes officially reset.
that reflects as a murder on the face sheet, but it's an attempt. Okay. Quavon Woodcock?
Mr. Woodcock is here present, Judge. He has private counsel, Mr. Bill Jellin.
Okay. We'll try to reach Mr. Jellin for you. Thank you, sir. Have a seat, Mr. Woodcock. Christian Lewis. On Mr. Lewis? Yeah. Right, I was wondering what that was about. So, Mr. Lewis, good morning, sir.
Good morning, ma'am.
You are charged with grand theft and with passing a forged or altered bill or promissory note. The court does find probable cause. Your bond on count 1 is $1,000. Your bond on count 2 is $1,000. What say you, Mr. Romero?
Judge, in seeing Mr. Lewis, he's been residing in the community for about 6 years now. He's 20 years old. He lives with his grandmother. His grandmother is the person that he's going to be counting on to post his bond. She's retired, so funds are limited. But he believes that his mother can at least post some of the bond. But we'd be asking you to consider it's just on count 2 to ROR. So the only bond that his grandmother has to post is the $1,000 bond on count 1, Judge.
Your Honor, my understanding is it would still be in place.
Say it again?
I'm looking at the order from Judge McCarthy.
Right. I noticed that too. I couldn't tell if it was just for, it was a whole, I couldn't, it shows you've got a hold for Leon County, and it also shows that the Honorable Judge McCarthy has signed. Oh, no, I don't think she signed it, counsel. I think it's just that he had a hearing.
No, there's a order returning defendant to court that she signed.
Right, I was looking at the wrong sheet. But that was for October 27th. Does anybody know what happened then, or?
I'll check. I mean, they might not have.
Maybe she set a bond at that time and we don't have it in the system yet? Then we have a case from Judge Singh Hall. I'm your third judge.
And for whatever reason, they were not able to, it would appear they were not able to get him here in time for the October 27th hearing. So I would just ask that the clerk schedule him at Judge McCarthy's as quickly as possible.
Is that possible, Mr. Clerk? Thank you, sir. But that leaves us with, so is the state asking to keep him? To get him before Judge McCarthy because it's a no bond? Yes, Mr. Christian, I'm here all week. We're gonna set this before Judge McCarthy at our earliest convenience. Through no fault of yours, apparently Leon County didn't get you in time for Judge McCarthy's hearing, but Judge McCarthy had issued a no bond hold on you, and I am not going to disturb that. Okay?
Okay.
Thank you, sir. You're
And I have no objection to the bonds, because what I'm being told is the not in custody KPS set the bonds at 1,000, so I have no problem with them being kept at 1,000.
Yeah.
It would appear based on the order, even if it posts, they can't release it.
We're gonna leave, right, we're gonna leave your bond at 1,000 each. As soon as you go before Judge McCarthy, if you're unable to post that bond, we'll bring you back here, okay?
Okay.
Thank you, Mr. Lewis. Ronkovus Williams? Mr. Williams, good morning, sir. You're charged with violation of community control in case number 16-9681 CF10A, 16-11799 CF10A, and 15-14714 CF10A. I do find probable cause. You're going before your judge on November 14th at 9 o'clock. Thank you, sir. Almeric Anthony Green.
He's approaching, Judge.
Good morning, Mr. Green. You are charged with violation of parole. You're on a hold. I'm sure they'll come and get you shortly. I do find probable cause. Thank you, sir. Miguelson?
He's approaching, Judge. He declined the service of public defense.
Okay. Good morning, Mr. Miguelson. You are charged with violation of community control in case number 15-10440 CF10A. I do find probable cause. You'll be going before your judge on November the 13th at 8:45 a.m. Thank you, sir. Samuel Rivera.
Judge, I've been informed he bonded.
Okay. Randy Gibson.
Mr. Gibson is here present, Judge. Manny is approaching, Judge.
Okay, thank you, ma'am. Good morning, Mr. Gibson. You were charged with 2 counts of possession of one count of possession of heroin, 1 count of possession of cocaine, and 1 count of possession of drug paraphernalia. Your bond on count 1 is $1,000. Your bond on count 2 is $1,000, and you are ROR'd on count 3. I do find probable cause. Thank you, sir.
Judge, Mr. Gibson is requesting, if you...
Oh, I apologize. I'm looking.
So it's 2 counts.
It's 2 counts of drug paraphernalia, and I ROR you on the 2nd count as well. I'm sorry I interrupted you, Mr. Romero. Please go ahead.
I didn't hear it correctly. Mr. Gibson, you're saying that there's 2 possession of drug paraphernalia?
Yes, sir. They just added a 2nd drug paraphernalia charge.
Okay, so there's a total of 4 counts.
Yes, sir.
Okay. Judge, Mr. Gibson is requesting you consider releasing him on pretrial release. He advised me he is homeless, but he's working. If he's here in custody, he's going to risk losing his job. Works in construction, but he did advise me he has a mailing address. Would Your Honor consider releasing him on pretrial release?
Your Honor, he also has a warrant right now pending for him out of the state of Georgia for failing to appear.
He also has a warrant out of the state of, you said Georgia? He's got a warrant out of California also. He's got priors out of California, Tennessee, Georgia, as well as local priors in Broward.
Okay, that's denied, Mr. Romero. Thank you, sir.
No
Christopher Reynoso, R-E-Y-N-O-S-O.
Mr. Reynoso, come on up, please. Judge, we'd be waiving formal reading of the charges.
Okay. What says the state?
Your Honor, based on the allegations and the strength of the evidence and just the amount of materials that were found, state would be requesting bonds in the amount of $10,000 per count, Also, should Mr. Reynoso post his bond, that he be not be in possession of any devices with internet access during pendency of the case, and no contact with any minors.
Mr. Reedy, Mr. Romero?
I think Mr. Romero might have some further information about Mr. Reynoso, Your Honor.
Judge, in speaking with Mr. Reynoso, he's been residing in South Florida for 2 years now. He's 23 years old. He's working. He works at the Crown Plaza. He's a server. He's been steadily employed with that same establishment now for about 2 years. He makes approximately $5.95 per hour plus tip. He lives with his mother in an apartment in Hollywood. Their monthly rent is about $1,300 per month. They split the rent, so his share is about $650 if my math is correct. Judge, he's going to be contacting his mother to help post a bond. She's also a server. Judge, from what he advised me, he has no money in the bank. This is, I believe, his first felony arrest. Judge, considering his lack of financial resources, no sort of contact with the criminal justice system, I'd ask you to consider setting a bond of $2,500 each count. That would make it a total, I believe, $15,000 on Mr. Reynoso's behalf.
Okay, thank you very much, Mr. Romero. On each count, I am setting bond in the amount of $15,000. If you are released, you're to be on a level 2 monitor. You are not allowed to leave your home except to go to work or church for 1 hour a week or grocery shopping for 1 hour a week. You are to have all of the computers removed from your home. You're not to have a smartphone or any type of device that might transmit any type of images. And you're to report to pretrial release on a weekly basis. Thank you very much, sir. Rob?
You want him to report in person?
Yes. Yes, Mr. Jellin. We have Quavon Woodcock.
Yeah, so if you'll allow me, I wasn't...
We got to get him up, just a second.
Okay. So if the court will permit me, I haven't been formally retained, but I did represent him a YO matter before. It was settled by Judge Bidwell. I think it was Judge McCarthy's case, but Judge Bidwell handled everything. He's currently serving a prison sentence, and apparently now, I was alerted to this last night, there's 2 new probable cause affidavits before the court. One denotes a DNA allegedly solving a burglary implicating him a year or 2 later, and a fingerprint case, same kind of situation. So I guess the issue is, because he has a Department of Corrections hold, unless Mr. Linder is going to agree to lift that DOC hold, which seems unlikely, right? I guess the issue is just bond on the 2 new cases. The only reason I think it's an issue is that if he does want to try to bond out to go back to DOC while this is resolved, if I'm hired, obviously if the state can prove it, we'll try to run it together with his current sentence. But I would just ask, I guess, and tell me if I'm missing something, but if you could just set a reasonable bond on the 2 new cases given the hold, then he could bond out and go back and do his time if that's what he chooses to do. That's it.
Okay, what says the state?
Your Honor, just to advise the court, Mr. Woodcock, he was sentenced to 8 years state prison on charges armed burglary, 3 burglaries of occupied dwellings, a grand theft between $20,000 and $100,000, grand theft of a firearm, and grand theft. I'm going to be requesting bonds in the amount of $10,000 each on 1 and 3.
Okay.
And for the court's edification, the armed burglary was not a going in the house with guns blazing. It was finding guns in the home.
Okay, thank you very much. I will set bond in the amount of $10,000 on count 1, the amount of $10,000 on count 3, and your bonds on counts 2 is $10,000 and count 5 is $5,000. Count 4 is $5,000.
So that's like $35,000?
Yes, sir.
Would you consider maybe $7,500 on each one? Just make the burden on the family a little easier?
That's denied.
Okay.
Thank you, Mr. Romero. Deontay Trayvon Ward.
Ward? He's approaching, Judge.
Good morning, Mr. Ward. You are charged with violating probation in cases number 16-5673 CF10A, 16-7308 CF10A, and 16-3763 CF10A. I do find probable cause, and you will be going before your judge on November 11th at 8:30 a.m. Thank you, sir. Travis Evans.
Mr. Evans is approaching, Judge.
Good morning, Mr. Evans. You are charged with tampering with physical evidence and possession of cannabis in the amount less than 20 grams. I do find probable cause. What say you, Mr. Romero?
Judge, he did inform me that his family will be posting his bond. He's only going to be requesting a phone order so that he may contact his family.
I will direct or request that the sheriff's office give you a phone call. Thank you very much, Mr. Ewens. Anthony Bryant.
Mr. Bryant's approaching, Judge.
Good morning, Mr. Bryant. How are you, sir?
Good morning, ma'am.
You were charged with possession of cocaine and driving while license suspended as a habitual offender. I do find probable cause. What say you, Mr. Romero?
Judge, Mr. Bryant advised me that his wife will be posting his bond.
Okay, great. Good luck to you, sir.
Your
Thank you
Honor?
Yes.
I'm sorry, nothing on this case.
Okay.
Just on, real quick, on Mr. Christopher Reynoso's case, did you want a condition also to be no contact with minors?
Absolutely. I'm sorry if I failed to say that.
And I spoke of pretrial, should he push
You
his
want
bond?
me to bring him back
Well,
to tell him? Yes.
If the court and defense is satisfied, I've been advised, if he puts his bond, pretrial will advise him when he completes a pretrial, that is one of his conditions.
Thank you. I'm sorry if I failed to say that. Yes, I missed that.
No problem.
Quentin Bullard, B-U-L-L-A-R-D.
Mr. Bullard is approaching, Judge.
Good morning, Mr. Bullard. You are charged with giving false information to a law enforcement officer, possession of cannabis, and failure to appear in case number 15-4224 CF10A and 16-8933 I'm sorry, in misdemeanor case 16-8933 MU10A. You will be going before your felony judge on November 14th at 9 a.m. and before your misdemeanor judge on November 13th at 1:30 p.m. I do find probable cause. Thank you, sir. Devon Toussaint.
Your Honor, Mr. Toussaint has a number of people here on his behalf this morning, and I know that they would like to approach the court.
Please come up. Mr. Toussaint, you have some people here on your behalf. Would you state your name, please, ma'am?
Tamika Dyer.
Ms. Dyer, what do you want to tell the court?
Well, first of all,
Don't talk about the facts of the case. You can talk about what a good guy he is and, you know, that type of stuff, but don't get into anything about the facts.
Okay. Well, he's a good guy. He tries to stay out of trouble. He's just around the wrong person. That's basically the issue right here. Around somebody that's doing something wrong.
Okay, thank you. And next, on behalf of Mr. Toussaint, your name, sir?
Chris.
Good morning, Chris. What is your last name, Chris?
Aubrey.
I'm sorry, say it again?
Christopher Aubrey.
Good morning, Christopher Aubert.
Yeah.
What do you have to say about Mr. Toussaint?
I'm basically saying, like, I don't know why the reason why you lock him up for, because he was only driving, that's it. And the personality...
Let's not talk about the facts of the case at this time.
Well, yeah, but he's not a bad person, as you can see. It's his first charge and stuff. So I don't know, like, they should have kept the other buddy that did the crime. I don't know why they just took him for no reason. He was just driving. That's it. And they dropped all charges on him for no reason. They didn't drop it on the other kid. Just because he's 18, that's why they did that. I don't like that.
Okay, well, thank you, Chris. Yes, ma'am. Your name, please?
My name is Martha Francois. I am Devon Goma. I heard that my grandson is in jail. I come in to say, did I dreaming? Because my grandson take care of me, I'm sick. You see what happened to me? He is the one take care of me right now. I lost everything in the hurricane, even my tooth. And my grandson in the hotel, I was in hospital. And FEMA paid the hotel, they kick us out. And we go to another hotel. When I heard my grandson, Devon Toussaint, this is a dreaming. Because he never, I know. But tell you the truth, all the kids, that's what I do. I go jail. I pray for the children in the jail. I'm voluntary in a lot of places. I'm missionary from church. And I think devil is a liar. I'm sorry I say that. I don't, in the courtroom, I should not say. I'm here to give him a support. And with my Bible, the Bible, when the Constitution of America. Thank you.
Thank you, Ms. Francois. Yes, ma'am. How can I help you? Your name, please?
I'm Kalia Toussaint. I'm Devon's sister.
Okay.
I would like to say that Devon is a very humble and caring person. If we're ever in need of anything, he's always there. I feel as if Devon's a great guy and nobody gets to see that side of him. But if you actually see all these people standing here, they know him. Like, he's an amazing person at heart. And
it's okay. It's all right. We got Kleenexes for that. Mr. Reedy, could you help? Yes, court deputy.
I'm sorry, but he shouldn't even be here right now.
What is he in school right now?
Yes, he's enrolling for the virtual online because I feel like it's better for him. I'm his mother. I feel like it's better for him because it's like.
What is your name, ma'am?
Mendy Mandela's.
Okay, because he's not around these people. Who's the kid that allegedly put him up to this? What's his name?
I'm not sure, but I feel like every time his name is Adrian. I'm hearing, but every time my son he tries to get away from trouble. I don't know. He seems to get caught up in the wrong place, but he's trying. I mean,
is he working or just doing the virtual?
He's supposed to be starting a job at Burger King.
Which Burger King?
The one on Nob Hill, in Oakland.
Okay.
So I mean, I just feel like he needs a second chance on what's happening.
And what is your address?
It's 5320 Northwest 88th Avenue, Sunrise, Florida, 33351.
Anyone else? I'd like the record to reflect there's probably one.
I have a question. I tried to get in contact with the detective on the case. How do I get in contact with him? I went to the Deerfield Beach Police Department yesterday and couldn't get to him.
Okay. And your name, please?
Tamika Dyer.
And how are you related to Mr. Toussaint?
I'm his friend, but I know, I'm a witness. I know that he didn't do anything.
What's Adrian's last name?
I'm not sure.
According to the reports, it's Ugley, Hugley.
My concern is we don't know. That person might be a juvenile now. We might be putting his name on the record. I have a concern about that, Your Honor.
Okay.
You're absolutely correct. Let's redact that from. Can we redact his name from the record?
Okay.
Nope.
Yes.
Okay, then it's ordered redacted from the record. Okay. PTR, have you had an opportunity to review Mr. Toussaint's case?
I just have prior that we ran into him on his
Okay. What says the state as to Mr. Toussaint?
Your Honor, if the court is inclined to place him on pretrial, I would just ask that he be placed with the GPS monitor. I do have concerns just on the sheer amount of cars that were allegedly involved in this. Also noting, and I'm just noting for the record, I know the court's familiar, there is, according to this, allegedly a post-Miranda confession, which details Mr. Toussaint's involvement, which does involve more than just acting as a driver. There are allegedly he confessed to using a center punch to break the windows on 2 or 3 vehicles that were broken into.
Yes, and I would also add, Judge, that it appears as though that there was probable cause to support a burglary charge on some of these counts. I think at most 4, and I think that the rest are attempts.
Okay. probable cause based on the police reports and the statements at the state over the objection of the defense, and I am going to place Mr. Toussaint on pretrial release, a level 2 monitor. I'm going to order that he go nowhere other than work or church for 1 hour a week, or grocery shopping for 1 hour a week. If he does want to, yes, go ahead. Yes, that's what I was getting ready to say. You have indicated that currently he's in virtual school. If he can provide proof that he's attending school or some sort of school-related activities, certainly he can attend those. And I want you to do everything you can, Mr. Toussaint, to try to further your education and help your wonderful family that's shown up here. And it sounds like you already do. I am going to order that you have absolutely no contact with the gentleman who was outlined previously. If there's any indirect or direct contact with this gentleman, I'm not going to state his name again for the record, but it's the pre-TR can write it in their paperwork.
And actually, what I was going to ask, Your Honor, is no contact with the listed co-defendants, and Mr. Reedy obviously has their names, and that could be relayed to Mr. Romero.
No direct or indirect contact with listed co-defendants. Nobody's going to investigate this case on their own. There is a Florida statute called tampering with witnesses, and you draw a very thin line when you go out there to talk to somebody, and it turns out that they feel threatened. You're charged with a 3rd-degree felony from that. So I would caution everyone. I know you care deeply about him and you want to help, but tampering is a very serious offense as well. You are going to be living with your mom, and you are going to report to pretrial release within 24 hours of your release. You're going to be on a GPS monitor, so be very cognizant. These monitors are very sensitive. They can tell when you step into the street off the sidewalk. You need to make sure you follow all the terms and conditions of pretrial release and the monitor. Any questions, Mr. Romero?
Judge, the only thing, the monitor, would you waive the cost?
I'm waiving all costs of the monitor. I wish you good luck. No bond.
And, Your Honor, I'm sorry, just in an abundance of caution, we ask for no victim contact and no return to the Best Western Hotel on Newport Center Drive in Deerfield.
That is granted. You're not going to go to the Best Western Motel because that's not school or work. So that's a gimme, right? You're not going to have any contact with any of the people who own these cars, okay, Mr. Toussaint? All right. Thank you very much, sir. Good luck to everyone. PTR would like to speak with you.
No, I can't. You can't come to me.
Yeah. Yeah. If you could just remain for a moment. That brings us to Charlie Freeman.
Mr. Freeman's approaching, Judge.
Could I do it? No.
Good morning, Mr. Freeman. You are charged with armed carjacking. I do find probable cause. What says the state?
Your Honor, count 1 is a punishable by life offense. The state would be seeking no bond hold under ISAZA, relying on the probable cause affidavit. Just very briefly noting that Mr. Freeman was found with the alleged stolen vehicle. Your Honor, that he was identified by the alleged victim, and there are witness statements corroborating the allegations.
Mr. Reedy.
Your Honor, proof beyond a reason, proof evident presumption grade is the highest legal standard that we have in this country. It's higher than proof beyond a reasonable doubt. And while the Izaza case does in fact state that the court can find probable cause based on can find proof evident presumption grade based on a probable cause affidavit, the court does not have to. Our position would be that in this particular case, the state has called no witnesses. They've introduced no physical evidence. They're relying on a probable cause affidavit that is designed to do one thing, and that is to establish probable cause. It is not designed to establish proof evident presumption grade, and we would ask the court in this particular case to find that this probable cause affidavit falls short of that standard and set a bond for Mr. Freeman.
Thank you very much, Mr. Reedy. I do decline to set a bond at this time with no prejudice to the defense to raise those issues at an Arthur hearing before the division judge.
And Your Honor, just want to bring to the court's attention in case you want to take action at this time. That's in your discretion. I'm showing Mr. Freeman is out on bond for aggravated fleeing and eluding, grand theft auto, resisting without violence, and driving without a valid DL.
This is that, sir.
1761 CF 10A.
I do revoke the bond in that case based on the arrest in this case on case number 17-61 CF10A. What judge is that?
It is before Judge Duffy.
Thank you very much, Mr. Freeman. Anthony Shellman.
Mr. Shellman, come on up.
Yes, ma'am. Good morning, Your Honor.
Good morning, Mr. Shellman. You are charged with violation of your parole. I'm sure that you will be dealt with shortly by the state. Thank you, sir. I do find probable cause. Evans Dassis.
Mr. Dastis is approaching, Judge. He declined the services of public defender. He is approaching. Michael Quintana.
Good morning, Mr. Dassis. You were charged with possession of cocaine in count 1 and possession of cannabis 20 grams or less in count 2. I do find probable cause. Your bond on count 1 is $1,000, and I am RORing you on your second count. Thank you, sir. Michael Catania.
My second count, ma'am?
Yeah, your ROR, it's possession of cannabis. Michael Catania.
He's approaching, Judge.
Good morning, Mr. Catania. You are charged with possession of cocaine, possession of drug paraphernalia, and trespass. I do find probable cause. What say you, Mr. Romero?
Judge, he informed me that his father will be posting his bond.
Okay, wonderful. Good luck to you, Mr. Catania. Renardo Clark.
Mr. Clark?
Good morning, Mr. Clark. You were charged with violation of probation in case number 14-5184 CF10A. You will be going before your judge on November 15th at 2 p.m. I do find probable cause. Thank you, sir. Leon Edward Sayago.
I've been informed Mr. Sayago bonded.
Okay. William Carroll.
I believe it's a medical loan, Judge.
Okay. Daniel Ritz. We have Mr. Ritz.
I think he's still going to be a medical loan, Judge.
Okay.
We did have someone visit him,
Okay.
so we're aware of his situation.
Wonderful. Thank you, Mr. Reedy. Peter Haas.
Medical loan as well.
Demeters Marshall.
Mr. Marshall's approaching. Oh, you're the gentleman from yesterday that we were... He was the gentleman from... he was brought to court yesterday, and he said he had paperwork that his probation case was taken care of, and he brought some paperwork right now, so I'm looking at his paperwork right now.
What's his name?
Demeters Marshall. He was going to... Was it Usan you were going before?
Yes, ma'am. For both, oh, here's your dispo.
Nobody's impressed that I remembered the judge from yesterday? Nobody, just nobody even.
Judge, the case number here reflective on disposition is 15-1030 CF10A.
Yeah, that's a problem. This is 16.
That's one. No, there's one
but
dispo.
wait, there's more.
Right, and here's a second dispo. 16-2991.
Bingo.
CF10.
That's us. So
Okay.
I am going to delete him from the docket because it's been.
No. He has a dispo. What does the dispo say? Because I'm showing.
His community control was revoked. He was sentenced, from what I see here, to 2 years, Florida State Prison, with credit for 540 days, followed by 4 years probation. Dated November 7th, 2017. His public defender was Elena Blos, and state attorney was N. DePrimo.
What say you,
So
State?
that's handled yesterday.
No, it looks like it was. I guess he was brought. Yeah. It looks like the jail already has the information. They're taking care of it.
Okay, so I can dismiss. I can just delete it.
Yes.
What's the best thing for me to do? I'm writing delete. Mr. Marshall, good luck to you, sir.
All right, thank you, man. Good luck.
Robert Grant.
Paul Ryan, I believe, Judge.
Good morning, Mr. Grant. How are you, sir?
Good morning.
Okay, good.
You are charged with count 13, lewd and lascivious molestation of a victim between 12 and 16 years of age, 2 counts. I do find probable cause. What says the state?
Your Honor, as you can see, Mr. Grant's being held on 12 other similar counts, one of which is no bond because of custodial nature. On his most recent charge, Obama said at $15,000. I'm just going to be asking $15,000 on these two as well, Your Honor.
Mr. Reedy?
In light of the fact that he's being held no bond, Judge, I think he's going to have to address those issues in front of his division judge in any event, regardless of what bond the state sets or the court sets.
Okay, I will then set count 13 at $15,000, count 14 at $15,000. In the event the no bond hold is dropped and you are able to make bond, you will be on a monitor, a level 1 monitor for pretrial. You are not to have contact with any minors. You're not to come within 1,000 feet of any school. You're not to come within 1,000 feet of the residence of the victims who are DT and KA. You're not to leave your house for anything other than, well, you're on lockdown. You're not to leave your house. You may go for 1 hour a week to get groceries.
Your Honor, I'm sorry. I was still trying to get
He's $15,000 on count 13 and $15,000 on count 14. Okay, thank you very much.
Judge, could you ask Mr. Grant who's representing him?
Do you have counsel, Mr. Grant?
My attorney,
What is your counsel's name?
James Lewis.
Okay, thank you, sir. Sherrod Harris.
Judge, Mr. Harris is here on main. He can find service public defense.
Okay. Good morning, Mr. Harris. You are charged with failing to appear in case number 17-1369 CF10A, with burglary of an occupied dwelling in case number 17-2642, with grand theft in the same case, and with failure to appear on case number 16-5736 TC20A and 17-1963 TC20A. You were going for a status conference on your felony case on November 13th at 8:30 a.m. I guess my question then is, what says the state as to burglary of a dwelling, count 3?
Your Honor, because the no bond hold is for the same charge, I would be asking for a $10,000 bond.
Mr. Romero? Okay, your bond. Oh, right, okay. Your bond is $10,000 on count 3. You're on a no bond hold on count 1 and 2. Your bond is $1,000 on the grand theft. You are ROR'd on the traffic. And the last traffic capious used a bond of $250. Thank you, sir. Have a good day. Mr. Pilardo is released. Mr. Irving?
Mr. Irving?
J.C.
Yeah,
Irving?
And Your Honor, I have no additional information. He should be RO'd on count 1.
Mr. Irving?
Yes.
Mr. Irving, they do not have any additional information, so you are released on your own recognizance, sir. Is your address? No address. Do you have an address to receive mail, Mr. Irving?
No, ma'am.
Okay. Thank you, sir. Have a good day. Based on the state's recommendation, you are released. Mr. Toomey, John Toomey? Come on up, Mr. Toomey. Good morning, counsel. Would you please state your appearance for the record?
Hugo Apollonis.
Morning, Mr. Apollonis. I understand that Mr. Toomey, I have previously found probable cause for possession of cannabis in the amount of less than 20 grams. State, I believe you had made some observations in Mr. Apollonis' absence regarding Mr. Toomey.
Yes, I was just bringing to the court's attention that Mr. Toomey had a pending felony for fleeing in a loot. 179281 CF10A.
And who's the judge on that matter? Lynch. Okay. Mr. Apollonis, what say you as to bond?
As to the misdemeanor case,
Yes, sir.
I'd ask the court to leave the bond set at is. I think it's at $100.
Yeah. What says the state?
Your Honor, considering that he's out on the case, and it's obviously within the court's discretion whether you choose to take any action, but seeing that he's on a pending case, state would be requesting a bond increase to $250.
Okay. Then I will set the bond at $250, Mr. Apollonis.
Thank you.
Stay in contact with your lawyer, Mr. Toomey.
Okay, thanks, Judge.
Thank you, sir.
Yes, ma'am.
Okay.
All right.
Thank you.
Judge, there was another gentleman, I believe Gary Altman, on
Yes.
recall. He's here present. It was a municipal ordinance
Sure.
case on page 12.
Come on up, Mr. Altman. How are you this morning, sir?
Good, ma'am.
Okay. What say you, state?
Your Honor, I believe this is a municipal ordinance.
It's a county ordinance.
Is it?
Yeah, it says Broward County. It's Atlantic and Pompano.
One moment, Your Honor. That's why we tell you guys not to throw stuff away.
Let me see.
Shall
Waiting on. It's okay.
According to the arrest affidavit, they're municipal ordinances, Your Honor.
Okay. Mr. Toomey, I'm releasing you, okay?
Yes, ma'am.
I don't find probable cause. No PC.
Judge, this is Mr. Altman.
Oh, Mr. Altman, yes, I'm sorry, Mr. Altman. Mr. Altman, there's no one here to prosecute your case, so I find no probable cause and you're released.
Thank you, ma'am.
Thank you. All right, Merritt? John Merritt?
Mr. John Merritt.
Page 15.
Yes, ma'am.
Good morning, Mr. Merritt. Are we waiting on we have Mr. Onak available?
I spoke with Mr. Onak. He indicates to me that he does not represent Mr. Merritt.
Okay. Mr. Merritt, you are charged with 5 counts of transmitting.
It would waive formal reading of the allegation, Judge.
Thank you. What says the state?
Your Honor, the state is going to be requesting bonds in the amount of $30,000 per count. If Mr. Merritt posts his bond, that he not be in possession of any devices with internet access, no contact with minors. In addition to these charges, Mr. Merritt, I'm showing, was convicted of possession of cocaine from April 25th of this year. This is all out of Brevard County. Grand theft last year out of Pinellas County. I'm sorry, that wasn't out of Brevard County. grand theft out of Brevard County, 2016. He was arrested in Brevard County in 2016 for failing to appear in court. Arrested in 07 in Brevard County for failing to appear in court. Grand theft in Brevard County in 07. Driving under the influence 02 in Brevard County. And noting with all the priors in Brevard County, it also appears that Mr. Merritt lives in Brevard County and has no ties to the community.
Mr. Reedy?
Judge, I know he initially declined the public defender's office and he said he had private, but according to my colleague, said that attorney hasn't been retained. If I could talk to him, see if he changed his mind, which to apply for the public defender.
Certainly, Mr. Romero.
Thank you, Judge.
That takes us to Patrick Martin. Did I already?
Your Honor, you put this on recall. Your Honor,
right.
Some additional information, and I spoke with Mr. Reedy about this. This year alone, Mr. Martin has been, and I believe it's out of St. Johns County, was involuntarily committed to the hospital. I suggested to Mr. Reedy, I think maybe transferring to Judge Lerner Wren might be the best way to proceed.
Mr. Martin, we're going to transfer your case to Judge Lerner Wren, and can I order an evaluation?
I think she'll.
Honor, we would prefer you didn't. Our office is aware of his situation. We'll take care of it.
Okay, I'm going to leave his bond at $1,000 on count 1 and ROR on count 2. And Mr. Martin, we're going to revisit your case if you can't make your bond, okay?
You know, like about how long I'll be detained for?
I do not, but you'll come back before me if it's more than a couple days, okay? You'll come back to magistrates.
I'll talk to him right now, Judge.
Thank you, Mr. Romero.
I didn't really understand what's going on.
Let me talk to him. I'll explain.
Mr. Reedy, can the state share that information? Wait. Share. How are you, sir? Did you have an opportunity to review your decision not to seek the public defender's representation? Do you still want to go it alone, or what do you want to do?
No, he's going to represent me.
Okay, Mr. Romero, what say you?
Judge, I believe this was touched on. He was extradited from Pinellas County. He was serving a sentence. He finished. I believe he served 270 days, Broward County Jail. So all that during that time span, he wasn't working, not building up any sort of financial assets. He's going to be, when he gets released, he's going to be going to live with his father. His father resides in Brevard County. His father works in construction, so therefore it's not like they have an abundance of resources as far as financial ones. Judge, I believe from what the state was saying in their bond request would be something out of Mr. Merritt's possibilities and something that his father cannot potentially afford. He has no money in bank, no sort of property. Judge, I'd ask you to take that into consideration in determining a reasonable bond on Mr. Merritt's behalf.
And Judge, I know the docket indicates count 1 and count 4 no bond holds, but they're actually third-degree felonies.
Okay, that's what I was going to ask. I didn't notice that.
Your Honor, I just want to advise the court. It would appear the reason he's been in custody this whole time in Pinellas County, there was also, it appears, a violation of his grand theft probation. It wasn't like he was being held in Broward County. We just didn't feel like picking him up and bringing him back here. I just don't want the court to think that.
All right. Well, thank you, Mr. Linder. Okay, well, I am going to set bond on each count in the amount of $50,000. I am going to require that if you are able to bond, you're on a level 2 monitor, that you have no contact with any minors, that you turn over any and all devices, computers, smartphones, laptops, anything at all that's able to transmit an image, and that you not leave your home for any reason. Thank you very much, sir.
Thank you.
On each count, 50, 50, 50, 50, 50. Okay, who's next? Who can we help next? Is there anybody on this second look docket that's ready?
Conti has 3, Your Honor.
Okay, thank you, sir.
And Judge, we also have one gentleman from the third look docket that was already brought in whenever you're ready.
Okay. Let me see. What is your gentleman's name, Mr. Romero? Because if you're done, you can...
Mr. Gary Tobin, he is on page 5 of the second look docket. Mr. Tobin, come on up.
I'm not finding
Careful,
it.
Mr. Tobin.
There's no Tobin. There's no Tobin on the third look docket.
Yeah.
I understand, but it's not on docket.
I've got it, Mr. Tobin. Good morning, Mr. Tobin. How are you, sir? Let's see what we have here for you. Page 5.
Judge, he's being held on a $1,000 bond for a grand theft.
Okay. Is it a hold?
No, Your Honor.
Hey, Deputy.
What say you, Mr. Tobin, do you have a good address?
Judge, he does. He did inform me he lives in Wellington, Florida.
Were you able, I'm sorry to interrupt you, Mr. Romero, but PTR, were you able to verify that his address is good? Okay, so you didn't go any further. Okay. What's your address in Wellington, Mr. Tobin?
1358 York Court, Rochester, Florida, 33414.
North Court?
York.
York. Who do you live there with?
I live with family members.
What's their phone number?
602-561-02-3572.
561-602-3572.
Yes. I got another number too.
And that is his sister, Leslie Williams, Judge.
Hello?
Hi, Ms. Williams. This is Judge Benson. How are you today?
Good, how are you?
I'm good. I'm trying to see if there's a way we can help. Is it your brother, Gary Tobin?
Yes, ma'am. Yes, ma'am.
To get out of jail. Can he come stay with you while his case is pending?
I live in Jacksonville now. I didn't know he was in jail.
Yeah, he got arrested a couple, looks like it was the 27th
Oh my
of
God.
October. Well, I'm glad we hooked up. Is there, he's saying he lives at 1358 York Court in Wellington. Was that?
Ma'am, I love my brother, but that's where I moved from.
Okay.
I got transferred jobs. My doctor I work for a neurosurgeon and I'm his nurse.
Right.
And we have a couple of different offices.
Right.
So he transferred me to our Jacksonville office.
Right. That's okay. Is there anybody that can come bail him out and make sure he's only got $1,000 bond? He's on a walker, and I'm just concerned that he if I just release him, he's not going to have a place to go, and I'm going to make more trouble.
Exactly, and that's the problem. And my brother is very sick. He's on the list right now for a liver transplant. He just doesn't take care of himself.
Right, right.
When he was living with me, I was trying my best to take care of him. I would go to work and I would come home and then I would ask my son, I said, "Where's Uncle Gary?" He said, "Mine took off." He would be gone for a week, 2 weeks. Wouldn't call me, wouldn't let me know where he was.
Right.
I was having a heart attack.
I'm sure.
You know?
I'm sure. I'm so sorry. Well, he's also got some sort of issue in Palm Beach, so I'm trying to fashion some way to take care of him.
Where's he in jail at?
He's right here in downtown Lauderdale, at the main jail.
God.
Right. Right. And he's got.
How did he get there?
Well, I don't know. He's not with me right now. He's over in the main jail. I'm conducting magistrate court, so. Okay. We'll try to figure.
I appreciate you so much.
Do you have any other numbers here locally that we can try to see if they'll just at least take his mail so that I know that he's got a notice to come to court?
Yes, ma'am. Try my daughter, Siobhan.
Okay.
That's his niece as well.
Okay.
Her telephone number is 561.
Yes, ma'am.
603.
Yes, ma'am.
1846.
Okay.
She may not answer her phone because she's at work, and then after work she's in school for RN.
Okay.
But if you leave her a message, and I'm going to leave her a message as well, and tell her it's about Uncle Gary. And I mean, I would be willing to bond him out, but my thing is, where is he going to go?
That's
I don't
right.
even know how in the heck he got all the way to Fort Lauderdale.
Right. Well, how old?
I just got a message from his doctor saying he has a doctor's appointment tomorrow.
Okay. What is his? How old is Gary?
Gary is 55 going on 2.
Okay. Well, we might be able to get Broward County Elderly Services involved to see if maybe there's some help they can offer him. So I think that's the cutoff, isn't it, Mr. Goldberg? I'm hoping that maybe we can contact Broward County Elderly Services for Mr. Tobin. He's 55. I'm not sure where their cutoff starts and ends, but they might be able to help us.
I would know. I will gladly place a call and see if there's someone that can help him. But
thank you so much for your time, Ms. Williams.
I appreciate you so much for helping with my brother, because
happy to do
I mean,
so.
If he could come here to Jacksonville, he's more than welcome to come.
Okay.
And I would just make a way for him to get back and forth to court. I would have to do that.
What's your address in Jacksonville?
3676 Balestero Drive South.
Balistero.
Balestero.
Okay.
Drive South, Jacksonville 32257.
Okay. We'll be in touch with you, Ms. Williams. Thank you for your time.
Thank you so much.
Okay, bye-bye.
Okay. Bye.
Okay, my thought is we put Mr. Tobin on for 1:30 and try to get through to elderly services and see if we can get some help, and try to get through Siobhan and see if we can get some help. I would have no problem with having you report, with having you stay in Jacksonville if you promise to stay with Leslie. This has got to be over. If you're on a walker, you got to be a little more dependable, Mr. Tobin.
Judge, one other question. I know Mr. Tobin is inquiring. Does he have a Palm Beach hold?
That's what PTR is indicating, or he has charges.
Correct. So even if you release them,
Mr. Romero, it's not a hold.
It's not a hold. It's a case that's pending.
Oh, okay, I got you. Okay.
How come when Mr. Goldberg interrupts you, you stop talking, but when I try to interrupt you, you continue talking? I don't understand.
I can't explain it to you.
No, Mr. Tobin, I don't want to, let me tell you, I'm not happy with you because you've got a family that's trying to get ahead. I don't want to put you with Siobhan because Siobhan is in nursing school, and it doesn't sound like you're a very good roommate. And if she's in nursing school trying to get her grades, I don't want her having to look for you while she's trying to get ready for tests. So I don't know, I'm concerned. And you're going to miss a doctor's appointment tomorrow. And your sister, who's also a nurse, says that you're not doing so hot. So you're going to kill yourself if you can't calm down and stay in the same place.
Ma'am, can I say something?
Yes, sir.
The thing is, my doctor appointment was Tuesday, yesterday.
Well, she says she got a call. Maybe they called when you missed it. Because she says she got a call from your doctor yesterday and she didn't know where you were.
I can't explain without the case.
All right, we're going to put you on for 1:30, and the public defender, I know Ms. Blostein has a good contact with elderly services. The public defender is going to try to contact elderly services on your behalf, and they're going to try to contact Siobhan on your behalf.
And Judge, are you seeking placement, or are you just trying to get him linked for services?
Address and a place for him to live, or at least a place where he can check in. I would love to have a bed because he needs to get to the doctor, but I don't think sitting in jail is helping him. Have these charges been filed?
Check, Your Honor.
He was arrested October 27th. I doubt it. It's a grand theft charge. I don't even have a PC. Might be. Okay. I'd like to take a look at him at 1:30. And Mr. Romero, you're done, right, for the morning. You have no one else.
No, there's a request. Judge, I believe there's more third looks.
Okay, great. I don't see them.
Scheduled to come. No, they're scheduled. They're bringing them in.
Bring them in.
I've been, I don't know, Judge. We've also received a list of the 2:30 second looks, in which, if we're here, they're asking if you want us to go ahead and bring them. And
hang on. Let me see what's going on. I know I have civil hearings. Mr. Romero is a glutton for punishment. What can I tell you? Let's just take a second. I know I have an 11 o'clock hearing that I need to send them down here. The clerk, these are all criminal.
Yeah, but we gotta take the clerk for the third.
Oh, you have a special look clerk?
It's not in service. Why you?
I hear you.
Got her number?
What's her cell phone? Oh, sorry. Here, 256. Sorry.
This is exciting, you guys. You're looking at it the wrong way. This is like an adventure. It's like climbing a mountain or bungee jumping. Yeah, you gotta be like, yeah.
Hold on 1 second.
Have we found out about Mr. Dixon yet, State? Or Sheriff, I'm sorry. A corrective order? What do I have to say? I'll say whatever I have to. Can you send, all right, I'll call Executive Director Scharf. Is that who I call? I need somebody, this woman's worried sick. Somebody come and tell me what I need to say. Okay, who is it that you just called?
I called who was here yesterday, and they're aware of the problem. They received the order, they corrected it, and he's going to be released. I don't know what needed to be corrected, but the supervisor received it.
Okay.
And they're working on it.
What's the supervisor's phone number?
6942.
And what's her name? Ah! Of course it is!
Confinement status, Rikai speaking.
Ms. Holmes, how are you, ma'am?
I'm fine.
It's Judge Benson. How are you?
I'm fine.
You've got to be like 15 minutes away from retirement. You've been there forever. Since I was like a little peon trial division PD.
Oh, okay. Okay. Yeah, okay. Because I was wondering who this Benson.
It's Betsy Benson.
Yeah,
that used to fax you on Friday
Yes.
afternoons, and I always faxed you the wrong paperwork, and you were always telling me to fix it.
Yes, and you're a judge now. I didn't know.
Yeah, I am.
Congratulations.
Yeah, but apparently you didn't teach me well enough, because I wrote dismissed on some paperwork, and it wasn't good enough on Mr. Dixon.
Oh, yeah.
What do I have to do?
They just corrected it. They faxed over to correct it.
Okay. Do I need to do anything?
No, because somebody on the fact of findings you wrote RR dismissed warrant.
That's what I wrote.
Right, we just got that.
Okay,
So
you just got
released.
it. So can I send if his wife goes and waits over at the jail in the lobby, he'll be coming out shortly?
No, she's going to have to wait a while.
How long should she wait? She's worried sick. She thought he was getting out yesterday. We all told her he'd be out. It was our mistake to tell her that.
It's going to be a while. Where is he housed at?
He's in Maine, right? Yeah, Mr. Dixon's in Maine. He's with you.
Okay. We'll try to work on it. Tell her that she's going to have to give us a couple of hours.
Okay.
It's going to be a while.
All right. Thank you, Rakaya.
Okay. You're welcome. Nice talking to you.
You too.
Okay.
Bye-bye.
All right. Thanks. Bye.
Okay, so confinement status, Ms. Dixon, say that they've got the paperwork. They're just processing it. It'll be a couple hours. We are here at 1:30. So if you've got if he's not out at 1:30, you come right back over here and we'll call again and get an update, okay? So it's all right. He's coming out. He's getting out, okay? I know this is very, very frustrating and anguishing. There's nobody wants a loved one in jail, but I would say go get some lunch and then come back. You know where he'd be coming out over at the main jail? Mr. Goldberg will tell you, okay? Thank you, Mr. Goldberg.
I know that Conti and North Broward are ready.
Okay.
Whenever you want.
Okay.
Hello.
Who do you have over there, Dap at Conti?
I got Travis Brissett.
Brissett. B-R-I-S-S-I-T.
G.
G. Okay, right, page 4. Good morning, Mr. Grissett.
Good morning.
How are you, sir?
I'm okay.
Okay. Mr. Grissett is charged with grand theft.
Judge, I actually saw that 2 days ago the state filed their notice of intent to delay filing on this case. He's being held on a $500 bond on this.
This is 17-11413 CF10A?
Yes, sir?
Yeah.
We filed an information.
Oh, I'm sorry, just filed on November 6th. I'm sorry. I read the wrong thing. That's correct.
Because an information has been filed, the state would be asking that this matter, any bond matters, and it was filed as charged. It was not, there's no change of charge, so it's still the same circumstances. The state would be requesting that any bond modifications be heard by the assigned judge, who would be Judge Usan.
Well, Judge, on this docket, I think we're going to have a combination of both filed and unfiled
Well,
cases.
It shows that you filed a motion for ROR, so I'm ready to hear it. My docket reflects a defense motion for ROR.
That's what all of these are, yeah.
I believe a motion was filed.
Correct, you're correct.
Where did, PTR, did you have an opportunity to check out his address?
He had that pending felony case, because he was out on bond when he was arrested on this new charge. We disqualified him based on that.
What case was he on bond on?
He was out on bond on 177055 CF10.
Is that Judge Usan? Anybody have that information? Was he on bond with Usan?
Say anything, sir.
Okay, that's a yes.
That's his open case, his prior case before Judge Usan. That was
And what's the charge on 7055?
That one was also a grand theft. He was arrested on that case. And his arrest was 4 months.
Okay, so Mr. Grissett, I am revoking your bond on case number 17-7055 CF10A based on your new arrest and an information being filed while while you were on bond in this old case. You will go before Judge Usan. I am not going to disturb the bond in this case. Thank you, sir.
Judge, had he already been magistrated on this matter, and had that already been considered, and the previous magistrate court declined to do that? I don't know. I was not, I should say I don't recall, or I don't recall if I was present on that court date, but if it had already previously been considered and previously declined.
I agree with you, Mr. Goldberg, but the wrinkle is they filed an information.
Well, not only that, Your Honor, I can tell you the court did not formally move to have a bond revocation. And bond was considered at that first appearance, and bond said it. So if bond can be reconsidered at a third hearing, then certainly the court would be able to reconsider whether to revoke or not.
Well, I also find that this court is in possession of new information that court did not have, which is that the state has filed an information. So based on this information and the information I have, I am revoking bond in 17-7055 CF10. Thank you, sir. Who else do you have, Deputy Aconti?
Raymond Mora.
Right before him. Right before Mr. Grissett.
Oh, I'm sorry. Raymond Mora, you are here on burglary of an unoccupied conveyance and petty theft?
Yes.
Is this a situation where we're going to determine whether an information has been filed?
It was filed November 6th, Your Honor. He's got count 1, a $500 bond, count 2, a $100 bond.
And again, Your Honor, the state would be requesting, since an information has been filed, that in my understanding of the rules of procedure, that any bond modifications at this point would be within Judge McCarthy's jurisdiction. And I understand the Chief Judge has issued an administrative order, but my understanding of administrative orders, if they are inconsistent with standing procedure or statutes, that the administrative order would therefore be invalid.
Thank you, sir. What does PTR say about Mr. Mora?
He was interviewed on the 7th. He told us he had nowhere to go.
Mr. Mora, do you have any family members that you could go and live with, or friends?
Yeah, I got a good friend that she been helping me out, and she tried to helping me out with helping me out. Her name is Marianne Sanso, and the phone number is 954-687-5828.
All right, hang on.
Yes, ma'am.
What is wrong with my fingers? Hello, Marion.
Yes.
Hi, this is Judge Benson at the Central County Courthouse. Do you, Mr. Raymond Mora is indicating you might be inclined to let him come live with you pending his case.
Yes.
Okay, what is your address?
3761 Riverside Drive, Coral Springs, Florida, 33065.
Is that a house or an apartment?
Oh, I'm sorry, apartment 2.
Is this the best phone number to reach you at?
Yes, ma'am.
Pretrial release, do you have anything else to ask, Marion? Okay, so we're going to release him to your custody. He's going to receive notices for court from you, and you need to make sure he comes to court. Can you help us with that?
I sure can.
Okay, all right. Thank you very much.
Thank you very much.
Standard unless the state has something to tell me about Mr. Moore, I think.
Well, Your Honor, the modification would, well, I'll wait till you get off the phone. You don't.
I'm off phone.
Okay. The modification will be over state's objection.
Absolutely.
For the reasons stated. Also noting Mr. Moore's criminal history, 2010, he was convicted of burglary of a conveyance. 02, possession of cocaine. 2000, possession of cocaine, loitering and prowling.
That's even a long time ago for me. Okay, Mr. Mora, you are going to be released to pretrial release. You are to report to pretrial release within 24 hours of your release. You are only going to live with Marion. You're not going to move. If you change residence, if you get arrested for anything, open container, you are going to have your release revoked, and you'll be back here waiting for your trial. Do you understand, sir?
Yes, ma'am.
So the court wants me to write must reside at 3761 Riverside Drive, apartment 2 in Coral Springs. Is that correct?
33065. That's correct, ma'am.
Thank you.
Make sure you appear in court, sir.
Yes, ma'am.
Take care of yourself.
Thank you, ma'am.
Okay.
And then we have Jesse Collins.
Jesse Collins.
Kellens.
Kellens, that's what I thought. Okay, Jesse Killings, K-I-L.
Kellens, C-A-L-I-N-S, Judge.
Okay, sir. Thank you. Let me find
Yes,
you.
ma'am.
Jesse, okay, you are charged with felony petty theft.
Yes, ma'am.
Judge.
The state again would be objecting to any modification. Not only is an information filed in Mr. Callan's case, Mr. Callens was arraigned by Judge McCarthy on August 22nd. He's actually had a calendar call October 27th. The public defender has had this case, and at any time could have filed a motion to have the bond looked at.
Judge, Mr. Collins is being held on a $1,000 bond. He's been in custody since July the 23rd. This docket exists for exactly these low bondable offenses. This was placed on the docket not by our office, but by the clerk, pursuant to the Chief Judge's request. It's a felony petty theft. He's been in custody since July 23rd on a $1,000 bond.
Mr. Collins, where would you live if I was to order that you be released to pretrial release? Where were you going to live?
I would have to go to the outreach program, Your Honor, because I'm homeless. So when the program, I had to go to the hack.
Do you have an address to accept mail?
To the co-op, the soup kitchen, on 33rd Street.
What's it called?
The co-op on 33rd.
33rd and what? I'm not familiar with that one.
33rd and Brown Boulevard. Brown Boulevard.
Your Honor, I would also note Mr. Callens is a 2013 theft and 2012 strong-arm robbery, aggravated battery, a year and a day state prison.
A second.
Okay. In 2010, 2005, he went to prison for possession of cocaine. 1988, robbery with a firearm or deadly weapon and aggravated.
1988.
Well, Your Honor,
You've lost me.
the reason I'm bringing it up is he was sentenced to.
My pores were so small in 1988.
I understand, Your Honor. He was sentenced to 17-year state prison. So my point is, yes, it is from 1988. There were no crimes committed in between that because he was in prison.
Okay.
But it is concerning that he was sentenced to 17 years.
What did he steal in this case?
One moment, Your Honor.
Allegedly.
This is merchandise from Walmart, Your Honor.
How much?
Looks like, I think, shirts, socks, jeans. I mean, shorts, socks, jeans, excuse
And
me.
was it recovered?
It appears that it was.
Yeah.
Yes.
Okay, we're gonna put you over to 130, Mr. Collins, and I'm gonna call the soup kitchen and see if they'll take your mail. And I would ask that somebody call Broward Outreach to see if they have a bed. And get the phone number. So, Deputy, please bring him back. That's awesome.
I finished both programs.
That's wonderful.
So
I
I've been
see
trying
that.
to get help with my problem.
That's great, sir. Thank you so much.
Yes, ma'am.
All right,
So
we'll see you at 1:30, Mr. Collins.
At 1:30?
Yes, sir.
Okay.
Okay, who else do you have at Conte?
I'm the only one.
Okay, thank you.
Judge, we have gentlemen here at Maine.
How about North Broward? Who do you have?
I have 5 people, Your Honor.
Okay, let's do those guys, and then we'll go to Maine.
And Paul Ryan is ready also, Judge.
I have Stephen Morris.
Morris, page 5. Okay, Mr. Morris, how are you this morning, sir?
Okay, ma'am, thank you very much.
Okay, Mr. Morris, you are charged with grand theft, and you can't make your bond, right?
Judge, on this one, I saw that yesterday, this was the one that the state filed yesterday, the delay, notice of intent to delay on this.
Okay.
He's got a $1,000 bond on this case.
Okay. What's the delay, prosecutor?
Your Honor, I don't know. I'm not the case filer. I
Don't
know.
you have to state good cause?
We're not.
Doesn't the rule say you have to show good cause for the delay in filing?
Your Honor, there's been no request for a good faith extension of 40 days. It's just a notice they put in the file to advise that we haven't made a file
okay.
decision. Yeah.
And so he's been in since October 8th?
Yes.
So today's his 30th day? So I'm going to, Mr. Morris, I'm going to release you on your own recognizance. Just so you know, it doesn't mean it's over, Mr. Morris. It means that the state attorney might file the charges, and then they're going to pick you back up, okay?
Yes, ma'am.
But for now, you're ROR'd.
Thank you, ma'am.
Thank you, sir. Next.
Wesley Killings.
Page 4. Okay, Mr. Killings, you're charged with robbery, sir. What is this? What say the state?
Your Honor, based on the nature of the offense, Your Honor, I would ask that this go to division. This is an attempted strong-arm robbery. There's an alleged victim that has a right to be heard.
Okay, but an information has been filed. I apologize.
I'm sorry. I believe so. Let me just confirm. Yes, information was filed.
Okay.
And he actually, because what happened was, Your Honor, when he was first arrested, it said on the PC attempted strong-arm robbery, but they can only book it as a strong-arm robbery. Judge Bailey set a $1,000 bond. When we technically filed a change of charge, but we filed it as it was originally on the PC as attempted strong-arm robbery. It came before Judge Levine, reviewed it again, set the bond at $1,000. He had his arraignment on October 16th in front of Judge Usan.
Absolutely. Your bond is $1,000, Mr. Killings. Thank you, sir. Next.
James Brown, Your Honor.
Okay, Mr. Brown.
Good morning.
Yes. That's what the prosecutors indicated. And Mr. Brown, what page is Mr. Brown on?
Page 6, Your Honor.
Okay. Good morning, Mr. Brown. You are charged with.
I have no idea what this is here. Domestics don't even get second looks. One,
Brown,
James Brown, and two, his bonds on counts 1 and 2 combined are $17,500. They don't even fall within the $500 to $2,000.
Mr. Brown, thank you very much. Next.
Nawago.
Mr. Walker.
Patience Nawago.
It's on the misdemeanors, Your Honor.
On the misdemeanor docket, yeah.
I gotta tell you, these dockets are really.
Was this sent to?
Good morning, Ms. Walker.
No, it's.
What is it? No Walker.
Patience
No one-
Nwagabo.
That's Patience Nagabo, Judge.
Oh, we had Ms. Nagabo yesterday.
Yes, we did.
Ms.
I
Nagabo.
believe on this exact same case.
Correct.
Ms. Nagabo needs to go to Judge Lerner-Wren.
Judge,
Well,
she's been.
here's the problem with that. Yeah, I actually called Judge Lerner-Wren to confirm. They've tried in the past. She just doesn't want to comply. Your Honor, I can tell, and I apologize if this information was already given to you. I'm showing this has already been set for in front of Judge Carpenter Toy next Wednesday for a determination of counsel.
And Judge, the only information that I have is that she's being held on a $25 bond.
Right. I am deeply concerned about Ms. Nagabo. I'm wondering if the public defender's office, are you appointed on this matter, or what's going on?
We can look up right now, Judge.
No, I can tell you no one is, because that's why it's up for determination of counsel next week.
Well, I would either appoint them or order an eval. Yeah.
9608.
Nwagbo's case, I am appointing the public defender. She does have a hearing before Judge Carpenter Toy next week, and I am ordering a psychological evaluation. Thank you.
I don't see Miss Nwagabo. Did she step out?
She walked away, yes.
Yeah.
She doesn't.
Okay, so who do we have next, Deputy, in North Broward?
Mr. Sands. Jermaine Sands.
Okay, come on up, Mr. Sands. Mr. Sands, you're charged with trespass in structure or conveyance. You were arrested in, does that say August?
Is there something else?
What's going on, Mr. Sands?
One moment, Judge.
You got a gavel on you, Judge?
No, sir, I don't.
Well, they say you know that's unlawful messing with the Indian. You know Mr. Willie Powers?
I don't know Mr. Willie Powers.
You know Miss Potier?
No.
You know the Sands, right? That hotel out there, Taylor Hotel.
You know, I don't go to Vegas. I'm not a
You don't have
gambler.
to go to Vegas. It's right here in Pompano Beach, Brown County.
Oh, okay.
Yeah, This was sent to Judge Lerner Wren, and then there was an order of recusal.
She don't got that gal, but she in trouble.
And one moment, Judge.
Judge, I just show that he's being held on a $25 bond on the trespass.
Judge, and I don't know why, but Judge Lerner Wren, sua sponte, revoked herself, transferred the case back to Judge Diaz. I can tell you that at least 2 assistant public defenders filed notice of appearances October 26th.
What that gal, but
So it's yours, it's yours, PD. Can somebody order, can somebody find some services for Mr. Sands?
need no services.
Yeah, Judge,
What that gal, but
it does look like we presently represent Mr. Sands.
he ain't no Indian. Get y'all in some trouble. Get your kid now.
Do you all want me to do anything? I'm waiting for the PD
That
to tell
gal,
me.
what that gal bad, bitch?
I'm waiting for the PD to tell me.
Judge, since we represent him, I'd like the opportunity for him to speak to an attorney, and we can go from there.
Thank you very much, Mr. Sands. I appreciate your time.
You get that gavel, Your Honor, you'll be somebody.
I'm on it. Yes, sir. I'm on it. Thank you. Who do you have next? Mr. Reed? What are we doing? Are we finished at North Broward, Dep? I'm going to Paul Rain. Have I done Paul Rain? Okay, Paul Rain. Who do you have for me, Deputy?
We have Mr. James Touchstone, Your Honor.
James
Touchstone.
Touchstone. Anybody
We're
find
finishing
him?
up, Rod, Your Honor.
All right, thank you, Dep. All right, James Touchstone.
Yeah, Your Honor, there's several issues with this case.
All right, tell me. Good morning, Mr. Touchstone. How are you, sir?
I'm doing fine, Your Honor.
I'm
I
glad
don't know
to
why I'm
hear
here.
it. We're gonna figure it out. I don't either yet, but we'll know.
One moment, Your Honor.
Go ahead, state.
I'm just finding his. Okay.
It's RCC, so we can.
First off, Mr. Touchstone is represented by Sean Ford.
Right, from Regional.
So, he's been arraigned already. He was arraigned February of this year. There's been multiple hearings before Judge Scheer. He's set for jury trial end of this month. I really think that at this point in time, really any bond modifications really have to be made by Judge Scheer.
I agree, and this PD really doesn't have a dog in the fight. It's regional counsel. Mr. Touchstone, you're here because we were trying to figure out if there was a way to fashion an opportunity for you to get released on some conditions. But you're going to trial in just a couple weeks, and Mr. Ford is your lawyer, and boy, is he a good attorney. He's going to help you out. Isn't he great?
Yes.
So Mr. Touchstone, you'll be going before Judge Scheer in just a couple weeks. We just wanted to say hello.
Okay.
Take care. All right, who do you have, Deb?
We have Mr. Robbie Evans, Your Honor.
Okay, Mr. Evans.
And, Your Honor, just based on the nature of the, I believe he's scheduled for trial next week, but just based on the nature of the charge, Your Honor.
Mr. Evans, once again, we were trying to figure out if there was a way to reduce our jail population, but the state's objecting. They indicate that you're supposed to go to trial next week.
That's tentative.
Okay.
So I've only been in jail for not even 4 months yet.
Okay. Well, you've got Mr. Johnston for a lawyer, so when you see him next week, if there's some way for you to ask for a bond reduction, I would recommend you ask Mr. Johnston. Okay?
Okay, no problem.
Okay. Thank you, sir.
Your Honor.
That's it for call around, Your Honor.
Okay, just a second. Thank you, sir. No. Okay, who do we have in Maine for you, Mr. Romero?
Mr. First person, Mr. Jesse Silverthorne. I believe he's on page 3.
Right, I see him. Good morning, Mr. Silverthorne.
My understanding is he's being held on 2 third-degree felonies. One's in uttering a forged instrument, the other is a grand theft. I believe he had a total bond of $1,000. He's been in custody for, from what he counts, 258 days. His family he has no one to help post his bond, actually. He's homeless, but he does have a mailing address where he could receive future notices, Judge. We'd be asking you to consider releasing Mr. Silverthorne at this time.
State?
Your Honor, I can tell you on, let's see. He was arraigned April 4th of this year by Judge Tim Bailey, at which time Judge Bailey specifically addressing bond, he set the bond on count 1 at $1,000. He ROR'd him on the ad charge, so there was consideration of this. Just trying. No motion has been filed since then. Matter of fact, there was a motion filed, it looks like, by the public defender that was heard in October to withdraw. Oh no, it was a motion to disqualify, and that was denied. Your Honor, I really think I would just be objecting. I think Judge Bailey really needs to make determinations of bond modification at this point. It's been there for months and months and months.
Sorry.
And Judge, I mean, that's exactly right. I mean, he's been in custody since, I believe from the docket, since February 24th, 2017 on a $1,000 bond. It is filed. He does have the court dates in the division, but this gentleman obviously in the last 8+ months that he's been in custody has been obviously unable to afford this $1,000 bond. The whole purpose of this docket is to address individuals who are in custody on low-level offenses with low bonds.
Does he have any criminal history?
Your Honor, I'm gonna have to check because I literally got this docket 2 minutes before we started it. I have not had time to prepare and check criminal histories.
When are you supposed to go to trial, Mr. Silverthorne?
Yes, ma'am.
When are you going to trial?
I don't know. I think it's December the 8th, my next date.
It's not set for trial, it's set for a calendar call in December. It was, one moment, Your Honor.
What's Ms. Taylor's extension?
Judge, I can see if I can reach Ms. Taylor. I don't know her extension.
It seems to me that the remedy is for Ms. Taylor to do an emergency motion to resolve the case before Judge Bailey. Are you, Mr. Silverthorne, I don't want to talk to you about the case, but are you open to any suggestions as to how to resolve your case?
Judge, I'd rather not him put that on the matter.
Okay, so why don't we call Ms. Taylor and see if we can get him in on a status, an emergency status, to try to resolve it. But I think that for me to ROR someone on a felony,
I don't know.
And Judge Bailey already have, and I know he thoroughly explored every opportunity for the least restrictive means for Mr. Silverthorne. I'm not gonna touch the bond, but I am gonna either, based on Mr. Goldberg's representation that he's gonna call Ms. Taylor and get Mr. Silverthorne into court as soon as possible, I'm okay.
Judge, I can't make that representation of the court. I'll certainly speak to Ms. Taylor. I don't know where they stand in the handling of the case. I don't know where they are in terms of litigation. I don't know if they're moving towards trial or plea, and
Well, it would strike me that if she's moving towards trial, she's gonna find some place for Mr. Silverthorne to reside pending the trial. I mean, she's either making her best efforts to get Mr. Silverthorne out on the least restrictive means and able to make representations to the judge about whether or not she's gonna be able to ensure his appearance in court, or she's resolving the case. So I'm happy to call her and ask her, if you want me to.
no, Judge, I don't mind calling her. I don't want to represent that we're going to put him in an emergency motion in front of the division judge.
Well, I would think if this is an emergency, I mean, we're all here trying to release people, so he either has one of two tracks, a resolution to his case or a trial. And if she wants to go to trial, she should try to help get him out.
I'll certainly talk to Ms. Taylor about the case.
But I am not going to touch this. Next. Thank you, Mr. Silverthorne. All the best to you.
No, okay, the next gentleman, Judge, we have is, come on up, Tremaine Walker. Come on up, Tremaine Walker. I believe he's here on a misdemeanor offense, Judge. He's been in quite some time on a violation probation. I believe he resolved the violation probation. He did his county time. That probation has been, at this time, I guess, terminated. The only thing that's left is this outstanding misdemeanor. I believe he advised me he wishes to resolve his case.
Okay. What say you, State?
That would be accurate, Your Honor. State's offer would be time served.
Mr. Walker, if you want to get this case over with today, I will withhold adjudication and take judicial notice of the time you've served. I'll waive court costs and any fines. You want to do that?
Yes, ma'am.
Good luck to you, sir. So ordered. Withhold judicial notice of the time you served, waive court costs.
What's your name, sir? Which one? Oh, Mr. Philocles Joseph.
And he is on page
8. Judge, he's here on one count. First count is a trespass. Second is resisting without violence. The third count is a resisting with violence. Judge,
wait a minute. I'm trying to find the right docket, Mr. Romero. I'm sorry.
Okay.
Judge, he's on the 2:30 docket.
Felony docket.
Yep.
Okay.
Philocles Joseph?
Correct.
Oh,
Right, but it's a felony as opposed to.
Okay. Page 6.
mine says 2:30.
All right. I'm sorry to interrupt you, Mr. Romero. Please continue.
Judge, as you can see, he's still in custody. From what he advised me, he's been in custody now for roughly, I believe,
They all said
over
2:30.
3 months. He's 46 years old. He's homeless. He can't possibly afford the monetary bond. However, he does have a mailing address. He receives mail at a homeless facility, which is called, from what he told me, it's called LifeNet, LifeNet for families. And he said he could receive his mail or future notices there. He's asking Your Honor if you would consider releasing him.
And,
What say you, State?
Your Honor, this is a file charge. He was arraigned by Judge Tim Bailey on August 21st. The public defender's office filed a motion to compel. That was, looks like it was. Let me see. One moment, Your Honor. Yeah, he had. I'm sorry. He had looks like that was heard. There was a calendar call October 6th. Your Honor, we would ask that any modifications be heard by Judge Tim Bailey. I mean, the public defenders filed one motion.
Let me just say that I apologize to everybody, but I was so busy looking for it on one of my 62 dockets that I believe I missed the most important part, which was Mr. Romero explaining to me why it's a felony, but these are three the resisting
No, it's resisting with violence, count 3.
Took me a second. Okay. All right. So this is set to go to trial when?
It's set for a calendar call. His last calendar call was October 5th. Defense motion for continuance. calendar call was set for December 15th.
Okay, so, again, Ms. Taylor, Mr. Joseph, how many times have you seen your lawyer?
Like 3 times.
3 times. Okay, so you know Ms. Taylor.
Yeah, I know.
Okay, call Ms. Taylor, okay? And let her know that whether or not you want to go to trial or you want to look into resolving your case, and hopefully she'll get you in a little sooner. But I have to agree with the state. These are cases that have been reviewed by judges or are subject to review by judges, and either have not, the judge in the division has not had an opportunity to review them. But I know that Judge Bailey would make every attempt to utilize the least restrictive means. So let's go to, I apologize for taking up your time, sir. You're going to see your lawyer and you're going to see Judge Bailey soon, okay? Thank you, sir.
Next gentleman is Mr.
3 times is good.
Mr. Jacobs.
I'm good with 3 times.
This Juan Jacobs, he is on page 7.
Okay, thank you very much, Mr. Romero. Mr. Jacobs is on page 7 of a different docket.
Judge, if I can give you some information, I don't know if it's going to be, I guess the state may have the same position. It's a file case. He has a public defender. He's been seen already, so I thought the purpose of this was to try and consider it, but I don't know if...
I have to say that when we have, it was, but I believe that the thought was that this was a situation where, for whatever reason, the division judge hadn't had an opportunity to review the bond. And I think that the misunderstanding is that these cases do not have motions to reduce bond that have been heard before the judge. So I understand your frustration. This is the early workings of it, but I have to indicate that I am reticent with people who don't have contact information to just reduce bonds that have been in cases where it's filed and they're getting ready to go to trial next week or calendar call.
Well, he's a little bit of a different situation.
Okay.
Unfortunately, the other gentlemen were homeless. He actually has an address. He lives in Deerfield. He lives with his fiance and his 2 kids. Financially, he has, I believe, only a $750 bond. His family can't afford that. Would Your Honor then consider pre-trial release with some sort of supervision or heightened level of supervision?
Your Honor,
Again,
the reason why we disqualified him was we see a warrant out of the state of Georgia for Mr. Jacobs. We also saw that he's on probation for petty theft. And he has a prior aggravated assault and aggravated sodomy from 2013.
And in addition to that, Your Honor, he was arraigned by Judge Dennis Bailey almost 3 months ago. He's actually already had a calendar call late September where defense filed a motion for continuance. There's a status conference set for December 7th. Really, it's been before Judge Bailey twice where there could have been an impromptu motion, a request. Motions could have been filed. If there's going to be a modification of release conditions, at this point, the state's position is it really should be up to Judge Bailey.
And Judge, I understand the state's concerns. This has been set up in this circuit to take a look macroly, if that's a word, at our jail system and look at the folks that are being held and lingering on these lesser offenses with lower bonds. The administrative,
okay,
I'm sorry, Your Honor.
It's all right. It's totally okay. PTR, you did not look at him at all because
of those 3 things, the warrant that's active out of the state of Georgia,
okay,
the probation that he was on, and the fact that he was adjudicated on that aggravated sodomy and aggravated rape.
Okay, so we've taken a second look, and I'm going to decline to reduce his bond. Thank you.
Judge, the next person we have. Oh, that's it. We're done in Maine, Judge.
Thank you.
No, we got one more. No?
You sure? Mr. Goldberg disagrees with you.
Oh, okay. Which gentleman are? Who? Oh, no one else.
Okay, so I'll see everybody at 1:30.
Yes, Judge.
You know what?
I still gotta see this. No, I'm not frustrated. I mean, look at this. Look at this.
We made it through the whole morning.
Jesus.
I didn't say where I was going.
You were so good. As it flowing.
Yesterday, nobody had, and they didn't bring it. I know, we should have.
Lynn had 21 cases. How many judges are there? What I have to do is I'm taking notes. Having no. What I'm doing is I have to take more notes on what's wrong. What I'm gonna have to scan and email to Sarah before he has to get ready to go to trial tomorrow morning.
All right, I'll see y'all. I'll be here at 1 to read.
Judge, it's been a pleasure. It always is.
Thank you, sir.
We will see you next time.
See you next time.
Don't ask me where I'm going. I'm going to jail.
My issue.
John married?
Are you sure?
Hold on, let me look at this, because, you know, our computer doesn't.
Yeah, I did.
That's what happened the other day.
At 11:26. That's what I'm saying.
My thing is, I have no respect for the mean jail.
Mike's, I'm leaving this here for his attorney. All right. Hey, thanks very much. I'll see you guys Tuesday.
Not only that, we're just concerned about the bond. We don't give a flying right now if somebody pushes a police boy.
That's what I'm saying. That's my problem. That's why they should all be in division. If you're gonna blindly put people on a docket just based on sheer bond amount, then let there. Also, we got 42 cases here. How many judges are out there? What makes more sense? Put 42 cases on one docket, or maybe 2 or 3 on each judge?
I think this is the way of getting us to lose weight because now we'll never have time for lunch.
Yeah, lose something. Lose my shit.
All I'm saying, it is, can we turn off the record?
Well, I stand by everything I said. Oh, and what this